our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper, 4 plastic bags for collecting your work, and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demanscalator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demanscalator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demanscalator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can send in no, don't send me in nudes. Seriously, don't. No, I don't want to leave it, because I'm sure somebody's going to be out there going, hey man, I'll send in some nudes after I wash my skunk. But anyway, Manscaped. Don't join the Patreon just to send nudes, but join the Patreon if you want to. What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Reg and Silver, and guest of the hour, Victor Magnuson from Fatshark Games. Thank you for joining us, Victor.
We need a sound effect when we introduce a guest.
We do.
Like a
belch?
Yeah.
Not a bong. Oh, a bong.
Yeah,
I thought you meant.
Yeah.
I was
no,
like,
not those. Oh.
Just a sound. What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG. Anyway, we're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about this week's news. We're going to be sort of querying Victor on what it's like being a developer, or what it's like being a developer, and all the stuff there. I'm glad you guys are liking the fake commercials at the starting of this. Thank you very much. Those are always fun to do. If you get a chance, check out Vermintide 1 and 2. They're both on Steam. Excellent games. In fact, Vermintide 2 is probably one of my favorite, like co-op. It probably is my favorite. I mean, I think I probably have the most hours in that now that I think about it. But yeah, dude, the game's awesome. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're not going to be querying him on behind the scenes on a brand new game. We may but we may be talking about, like what's out there already information wise and all that kind of stuff. We did get a bunch of questions. Some I'm going to hold the later ones that are specifically about those, but I am going to answer some real quick ones so we can get through this. Then we've sort of got a better topic list today. Thank you, Johnny, for putting that together. So, and if you get a chance, Johnny, if you haven't, can you put it in chat in the Zoom? Sure. So the first thing I want to get out of the way, let's see, real quick questions. Oh, first of all, donation. John Miller donated $64 in the last couple days, twice, and he contacted me and was wondering, if I was gonna, pimp that. And here we go. Thank you very much for that. We only do the podcast on Fridays, though, so I don't really like to just tweet it and say thanks for the money, some random person, because everybody might think something nefarious was going on. So I do want to say thank you very much for supporting the channel. Super chats are, as well. All of you guys. Let's see. Deep Stew says, do you regret being a reviewer? No. That's an interesting question. This feels like we're already getting into weighted questions here. What does that mean? Why is that the first question? Odin Thor Peck HHC on Twitter asked, hey, Jeremy, I just wanted to get your opinion about the viability of YouTube moving forward. Seems an interesting topic to talk about. I've said, too, before, I think everything points to people with integrity not being able to stay around. No, that you can stick around with integrity. But I will tell you guys, if you want to do YouTube, you should do it now, man. Unfortunately, COVID has destroyed people's lives. It's ruined, everybody's plans for the future and that kind of stuff. And what that has done, though, is put more people watching eyes, putting their eyes on Twitch, on games. There's more time for gaming. If you guys go to my website, I did a blog about the change, what COVID has done to gaming, and games are being delivered differently with Game Pass. There's a lot of stuff to cover, but I got to tell you, jump in now, because your audience may not always be like this, and it's a good time to jump in. You can have integrity. I will say my test this week showed that hyperbole and thumbnail stuff does make a massive impact even for me. I was surprised. I got quadruple the views in 1 hour by just simply putting WTF on the thumbnail and changing the title. And I changed it a couple times and saw massive adjustments. So if I say this game absolutely sucks, a huge number of views will go up in that. So I get where you're coming from, but no, please jump in. Tig says, with Rainbow Six Extinction, Yahtzee's discussion about bland games being worse than bad games came up. Jeremy, what do you think? Bland games being... No. What? No, bland games... So bland games are bland environmentally, but somebody else can like a bland game. They might like the fiction. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. So a Lord of the Rings game may be bland to me, but a bad game is bad mechanically. So I think that's probably somebody... I think Yahtzee's the guy who just harps on everything. Isn't he the one who...
He's the zero punctuation guy.
He's zero punctuation guy, which is sort of his thing. But I think if you're cynical like that... you start to get a cynicalness that can creep up. But I would say no, bland games are not where bad games are just bad, man. Bland games, I can say it's bland, but I've said games are worth buying, even though I wasn't interested in the fiction, because it's still a good game. That makes no sense to me logically. And then last, Barstow. I now have 18 hours already in Rainbow Six Extraction. I'm enjoying it immensely for the price, even above Game Pass. I watched a couple reviews, and while it was doing good, I saw a couple that were very negative towards it. But each review had all these, I think Karak calls them caveats, before the review started. Like the reviewer was trying to explain away whatever was good in the game. Is that just Ubisoft hate? Or something else? I don't hear you do that. I don't want to talk about other people's reviews. I have no clue. Does anybody have any... I don't know. People say what they say. Does anybody have anything to say on that? No,
I haven't read the reviews or seen the reviews in question, so I can't speak to it.
Yeah. I think caveats make you comfortable. Like caveats, if you say, hey, this isn't my game, you can sort of say different things than if you were to say, if it was yours, I guess. Or if it is your game, you could probably do the same. But overall, with Extraction, I think... the community's spoken. The Reddit's incredibly positive, which blows my mind. Never seen a subreddit positive in my life. Like, this is the first time I've jumped into a subreddit and people are like, dude, this game is a blast. So people are enjoying it. I didn't love it, but I definitely will check it out. So jumping in, let's talk about what we've been playing. We did discuss a little bit with Victor. We're going to let him go first. He probably doesn't have a lot because he's working, but can you tell people what you've been playing, if anything? And if it's not games... have you been watching any shows? Found any cool music?
Sure. Yeah, so the latest I've been playing is, and it's true, and I'm also a father of 2 kids, so I don't have immense amounts of time to play. Right. And I found myself so I've been watching a lot of TV actually, because in the evenings I'm so tired, so I usually end up like scrambling around YouTube or watching some show. But I've been playing Halo Infinite before Christmas, and I think it was really good. I really like it. Was a really long time ago I played a Halo game. I don't think I've played since like 3 or something like that. And it was nice to jump back into the there is some kind of Halo magic formula that is really sweet, and their weaponry is awesome. I really like the I think it's really inspiring how they're really good at making like different versions of the same type of weapon, but having a little bit of a twist. So like there's like 3 versions of a sniper rifle, there's like 3 versions of an assault rifle, and they all have these unique small mechanics that make them different, good for different things. And I don't know if it was your review that I listened to one review, and it had a really good point. The whole sort of switching weapons mechanic that they have. That you sort of switch out. You only have 2, and you always switch them out because you run out of ammo when you switch. And that's it keeps the gameplay really fresh at all times, I feel, which is nice. Like you're not sort of stuck with the same weapon that is the best one. And I really like that. And I think the campaign, I've only played a campaign. I'm not a big multiplayer guy because I get just way too stressed and freak out and can't do good. So, but the campaign I think was really nice. It's I'm not done. I think I'm at the last mission or so.
We're gonna judge you on your choice of best weapon in Halo. What's your favorite weapon in Halo?
What's it called? I usually end up going with the what's it called?
Needler?
It's one of the military weapons. The
Magnum?
No. It's one of the rifles, the one with the scope. It's sort of
Battle
like
rifle.
right.
Isn't that
carbine. The battle rifle,
Yeah,
yeah, the battle
gotcha.
rifle. I really like the battle rifle,
The
and
3-round burst, right?
what?
The 3-round burst, right?
No, the
Or
single shot.
single
Oh,
shot?
single shot,
You can
right.
hold it to
Right, a
first,
single
or
shot
to
from
go,
reach on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I like I like to have like a sniper rifle and the battle rifle. That's usually what I tend to go to. And
Gotcha.
then like after a while you switch it out. But those are probably the ones I always like when I go to one of the what was it called, the little strongholds. Or
yeah,
that you
the
can sort of
the
unlock to get
FOBs,
weapons.
the FOBs, the fobs.
FOBs,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the two I always pick from the FOB, and then I just sort of roll with whatever I find. But yeah,
All right,
I mean,
we
their
gotta kick him
sniper
off.
rifle is
It's the Needler,
nothing
baby.
extra.
Come on,
Yeah,
the Needler.
But the Needler in this one feels kind of weak. I
Weak?
think. I don't know. Yeah,
You
That's
weren't the
true.
only one.
as-
You weren't the only one who brought that up. Yeah.
No.
I
There's-
haven't really found a super good use for the Needler in Infinite. I don't know. I might just be doing it wrong, but I don't know.
No, you're probably doing it right. It's just the idea whenever you hit somebody with it and they walk around a corner and they think they're fine and you hear that explosion
nice.
and they die and you're just like, this is the most satisfying secondary kill.
Or you get to run away from, like, back away from them as they explode. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
walk
like
away
like
from...
walking away from an explosion in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
But I mean, the Needler is a nice sort of panic weapon. You just sort of spray in the general direction of whatever you want to kill.
Yeah, my general gameplay style.
But I
Excellent.
really enjoyed it.
Very cool. What about you, Reg? What have you been playing? Oh, no, you got more? Go ahead, Victor, if you got more.
Yeah, I could also mention, since I have a kid, my oldest son is 9. So I play a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds with him. And
Gotcha.
it's a really fun game to play together with my son because he can't really read the text because he can't read English. So, but I teach, and he's like, it's insane how fast he like learns all the cards without being able to read them.
Right.
And then we just, and he really likes to like sit with me and play that game, and that's a really fun. I like it. I've been playing that for about a year or 2 years or so.
Oh, damn.
I really like Battlegrounds. It's a nice sort of mindless sort
Yeah.
of. You don't have to like. Okay, it's like 30 minutes of just nice playtime.
Reg, what do you got?
I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn finally.
Finally?
With the sequel like a month out, I thought it's finally time to finish the game. Like I had started it
That's
back
what
on
I
console.
thought. Yeah.
But I got it again on PC, but never actually completed it. And finally I did. So I did the campaign and started the Frozen Wilds.
Ooh, very cool. And what are you thinking now on PC? You liking the way it feels?
It runs like pretty solid at 60 FPS with everything cranked up. So it was pretty smooth. Controls, for me at least, with mouse and keyboard are way better than trying to aim with the controller. So it was a good time. Yeah, and it still is with the DLC.
Excellent. Johnny?
I finished Persona 5 Royale, and I've been doing my first playthrough of Walking Dead Telltale, and also playing League of Legends on the side, learning that game. It's been a lot of fun.
You just finished Persona. I'm assuming you started day one and you're just now done. 10,000 hours of Persona.
Honestly, that's how it feels like. I did like 40 hours in the original. I stopped for months, right?
Which
I
is
got
like the first
burnt out.
chapter of that game.
Dude, I thought I was far in. Looking back, right?
Yeah.
That was cute. Yeah.
That's
But then when Royale came out, I got like the urge to play again, and of course you have to play from the beginning. So I clocked just under 100 hours in this playthrough. Add the 440 hours from the prior. It was a big investment. I'm happy I did it. I'm also happy I'm done because
Right.
I'm really burnt out with, the long JRPGs. I think I've kind of outgrown them in the sense that, they kind of
So you're
overstayed
saying
their
a
welcome.
JRPG with just Tifa as all 5 characters you wouldn't play? That's what I
400
thought.
Hours.
If it's
I'm
Tifa,
gonna
he'll play
punt
it.
that one.
Yeah, but yeah,
What, 400 hours a day, you mean?
yeah, pass that quite as he's got his Tifa pillow right outside of camera view. What about you, Silver?
I've been mainly playing through God of War again,
Mm-hmm.
this time on the PC. Yeah, just having fun with that. And give me God of War again. And nearly at the end, I just killed the Valkyrie Queen. Just about to round off the last few things and call it a day for that version.
What do you think on the PC? Are you noticing? Are you like, it's about the same? Are you happier with the PC version? Is there any bonuses you picked out of it?
I mean, I'm using a gamepad. One thing that's really annoying me more than it did on the PlayStation is the vibration in the gamepad feedback. You cannot turn it off.
Yeah. Right.
In the PC version of God of War, and it vibrates for pretty much every single thing you do. You start sprinting, it starts vibrating. Like you open a door, it starts vibrating. Like it vibrates like every few seconds, like pretty much endlessly. It gets pretty annoying.
Gotcha. I'm just happy it came out, man. I mean, guys, more people are playing.
The more people who play that game, the better.
Yeah. And Sony, I'm glad that, I don't know if you guys saw the interview, but basically Corey was like, we had to talk Sony into this. And I got to say,
yeah, the studios.
I've got multiple videos where I'm pretty harsh on Sony, especially in the reviewer side, because their PR was very old school. And the way they did that, and I don't mean I expected something, I mean just their communication. And that's completely changed. It's not even in the same stratosphere of where it was and how to deal with people. And I think Sony's coming to grips with, we got to get Nintendo to do it. Nintendo's still 25 years ago. They're still signing into GeoCities, but I mean, still checking their MySpace. I just think that Sony is coming forward and saying more people playing is good. I mean, what's wrong with it? Like, it's, to me, the platforms, especially cost-wise, you can get a PlayStation you can get a 4 or a Pro for what, $299 or $399? Is that what their cost is for a Pro? I think that's their cost, right? Because it's $499.
I don't know these days.
And you can't get a PlayStation 5. It's very difficult. But you have these different levels where people can come in and enjoy your game. You can get a PC. You can spend a tremendous amount of money, sell your card to get a graphics card. And you can do PC version or you can do console version. And it's awesome. I hope to see more games. I will read Super Chats in a second, but I want to cover the games I've been playing. Extraction, still playing it, which surprises me, even though I wasn't in love with it. Back 4 Blood, been playing a bunch, doing a bunch of D&D on the side. Not a video game D&D, but D&D with my friends, trying to get that set up for some streams for the patrons. And Back 4 Blood, Reg and I played a bunch with last week with Gaming Addict, Rush, Johnny jumped in for a couple games, and those have been just really fun. Yeah. And then I don't think I can talk. You guys can look at the release schedule, but I think right now the NDAs are like you can't even say you own them or that you have them for review. So there's some games coming up, unfortunately. And then let's read Super Chats real quick so we can get to the meat of this. Blake Studwell, $5 Super Chat. Thank you, Blake. He says, what keeps key creative directors and employees from leaving Activision before the Microsoft deal is done? Isn't that what happened with Rare? I think Rare had people leave prior. If I remember right, there were people already leaving Rare before Microsoft bought them. But nothing stops them, right? If somebody's unhappy, they can...
No, yeah.
It's only probably like some of the top level people that might have contracts to stay, but otherwise, but it's usually like the CEO can't leave the company after you sell it or something like that. But no,
yeah,
so the other people can leave.
Yeah, it's to stay through the transition. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And I personally feel that like I don't mind the COD games, even though I'm not in love with them. I don't. If they leave, other people will come in, and maybe the COD games will change, which some people want, right? I mean, I think we can all agree there's some fatigue there. And then if they don't leave, people will hopefully get the COD games that they want. So to me, there's really no negatives there. I will say people have, for some reason, misinterpreted what went on. Activision sold to Microsoft. Microsoft did not go talking to Activision at first. Activision's been very clear that they were looking for a purchaser. So just so people know, Microsoft wasn't like calling them up, ringing them up on the phone. Let's see. Other Super Chat. Foul Play. Dude. Dude is in the dark again. I thought we progressed past this. $10 super chat to call out silver for being black and white today. Dude,
Yeah,
black and white's the
never
best
beyond
choice
this.
financially for our podcast. If we all go black and white, we'll be making like $200 per podcast just by people complaining. So continue. Silver's doing black and white because color is just too vibrant for everybody involved.
Exactly.
Rampant Fury says, $2 super chat, losing COD is a big blow to PS, but is it fatal? It's not fatal, and at least we know for now Call of Duty will be there. And then last one, Aston, $10 super chat. Hope this helps you stay inside and not get COVID like the rest of us. Thanks for keeping me entertained. Thank you. And, man, he's not wrong. Did you guys see yesterday's Discord? Everybody's got COVID. It was ridiculous. Like, everybody had COVID in the... It was just everybody.
I mean, we had a yesterday we had a single day record here in Denmark for 40,000 people, and we're a country of only 6 million people.
Yeah,
so
it's the same in Sweden. It's going insane.
That's a substantial amount of the portion of the population in one day.
I mean, it's damn, and it's
it
obvious.
Only takes
it's
a couple of days
easy
of that for
to spread. You know, it's obvious. So take care of yourselves. I hope everybody's healthy. I had to cancel my surgery because our hospital was too full. And it's just like, you know, it's bad when a hospital can get insurance money from you. And they're like, come back later. And I was like, dude, this is a lot of money you guys are getting. Yeah, you probably don't want to die. So it's probably best if you, and no lie, the doctor was like, listen, you'll probably get an infection, which is normal for post-op. Most people get them. And you might get COVID, and that would ruin the surgery. So probably not. And I was just like, damn, this will be the third time being turned around. So everybody stay safe, and thank you for showing up for the podcast. So let's get into this. People are going to want to know about Microsoft and Activision, so we're going to cover the news, and then we're going to ask Victor some questions about development. Everybody's free to talk about whatever they want in here. Be aware, Victor works at a company right now, so some things he may or may not be able to say, or you know, that's how we do things. We're not beholden, because we make no money and we just do a random podcast. Victor actually has valid employment. So, I don't know, man. Does anybody even want to start? Activision, it gets announced. I can tell you guys, it was a pretty big surprise for a lot of people. I saw a lot of people saying, is this like a fever dream or something? Like,
I was
the amount of money.
I was impressed that they managed to just keep it such a tight ship that there were no leaks whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. And that money, guys.
With a deal of that magnitude.
Yeah.
It's more than Nintendo is worth.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that I mean, dude, that's a lot of money. Billions. Man, like when
Imagine if they did like a hostile buyout of Nintendo, like a hostile takeover. Microsoft.
Well, people asked that. They were like, why? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, Activision was trying to sell. Have you ever seen, look at Ubisoft and Vivendi. Yeah. What did that go on for 5 years where like Ubisoft was like, we are not selling to you. You know, we want to keep our sexual harassment to ourselves. I'm just joking.
Yeah. I mean, remember with Bethesda, it already, you know, it was a big monetary deal, and that was 7.5 billion.
LinkedIn was 18 billion.
Right. And wasn't Zynga like 30 or something?
It feels like they're narcos or something. They've got cocaine money. I mean, it's the amount of money is ridiculous. Like it just keeps, they just keep doing it. And I remember Phil was like, yeah, we're going to keep buying after this. And I'm like, buying? What the hell is going on with you guys?
Who are you going to buy?
Yeah, who are you going to buy? By the way, people have asked about the monopoly. They will, of course, look at that. Lawyers decide prior to a purchase. But I will say one thing. Monopolies usually revolve around this is what, like, one of the things I do is like when it comes to a monopoly, it's usually the ability to linchpin or corner the market on one particular thing or create massive change within your monopoly. One thing people are forgetting is if this was EA, you can bet everybody would have jumped on it. EA is a massive publisher, and they've got games everywhere. The difference between Activision and that is Activision's only got a couple games. They have a bunch of IPs, but people were mistaking, thinking, oh, this is going to instantly be shot down. EA, I can tell you, or Embracer Group, I don't know who could buy Embracer Group. That's ridiculous now. They own every IP that exists. But, you know, government will look at it and decide. Existed. Yeah, dude, their back catalog.
I mean, there is for those of us who are a little older, there are sort of uncomfortable memories with the 90s and Microsoft buying stuff up, right?
They did, but
for
they
the market.
destroyed everything. I mean, that was under a
Yeah,
different group.
also
But I
true.
agree with you. Yeah, I mean, because you don't want the company to go away. And Microsoft and Google in the past, Google does it now. Microsoft, their phone, they're like, Google still does that. Google will be like, hey man, we're gonna do that. We're not doing it now. Very next day, they just change their minds. But I think Microsoft, from what I've heard and the people that I've talked to who are developers, they're pretty happy with it. I know we got a couple developers in our Discord who weren't anonymous. They asked me if they could say it, but they have friends or are at the various companies, and they stated that there's a lot of positivity around it. And driving it mostly because Microsoft does now have a different way of handling the various things interpersonally and stuff, and Crunch in particular.
And I mean, you saw that you posted also the picture of their management team, which I actually appreciated. As a fairly diverse group of people.
Fairly diverse, yeah. It looked like a nemesis. Did you see my joke about Microsoft's team looked like the nemesis tree
system?
Yeah. Like it's not like the cookie cutter copy paste white guy in a suit that you see for like most other.
Microsoft worldwide, they show it more than I think some do. So yeah, I don't know what I mean. Go ahead.
For me,
I think it's going to be good for both companies.
Go ahead,
like,
Victor.
I don't know. It's to me. This is my very personal opinion, but it sounds like I mean, Activision Blizzard was having a really bad time lately with like press and different just story upon story upon story upon story, and like World of Warcraft doing bad numbers and whatnot. So I think it's probably a very welcome change for a lot of people there. That's sort of okay. Let's start over fresh with a new sort of management team and stuff like that, and be able to focus on what we want to do is good games instead of focusing on talking about stupid shit that people did for a long time ago that don't work here anymore and stuff like that. So I don't know, or some of them do. I don't know. I have no idea, but it's probably a nice sort of way to like start over and
a fresh start. Yeah,
I would agree.
And I mean,
go ahead.
I think Microsoft is like I think they've been doing really good with the companies that they have been buying lately, and like it seems like it seems like a good place.
Did you guys, I don't know, like when all this was announced and they were doing it and you see how much money and then people moving around, one of the things that in Microsoft is they do allow for people to bounce around, and there were people at Activision going, oh, now Obsidian and Bethesda are with them, maybe as a developer I don't have to stay with Activision. Maybe and Microsoft has been very open about teams and moving people around if people want. And yeah, dude, I don't know. For those people, at least, I think that's just awesome for people to be like, dude, we can sort of get, like you said, get back to the actual games. Not that you should ignore the issues, but what I'm saying is you have to at some point continue to move forward or continue to develop.
And start over and like, let's not do that again, and let's go make good games instead of being idiots.
It's I mean, in that way it's awesome. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I think part of my concern is I see Spencer saying and doing a lot of the right things, and like the leadership team at Microsoft, but Spencer is just one person and he's a human being. So my concern is more what's going to happen when he leaves and somebody else comes in, maybe that doesn't particularly agree with that direction, and then goes instead maybe, oh, NFTs, I think that is actually a good idea, or whatever, and all of a sudden that you have this massive ecosystem with Game Pass that Microsoft has built that sort of taps into a potentially with huge potential, I think, for a kind of exploitation, with all of a sudden you get ads in there or whatever, because
but don't you also believe that making people's, I mean, the positivity now is better than no positivity and worrying versus worrying and having better situations now. Does that make sense? Am I making?
Yes,
it does make sense. Yeah, and I also think
because
that
of course
Phil
there are
Spencer,
positive aspects. You're right.
Yeah, I get what
I
you're
think
saying.
Just to follow up on that, I think he would be able to find someone that shares a similar vision instead of some random person popping in with completely different like ideology and stuff. That seems very strange.
I mean, yeah, but that's if Spencer gets to appoint it and it isn't the board or whatever.
Or he doesn't die of a heart attack or something stupid. Like, did you guys see this morning Meatloaf passed away? The singer?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's heart-wrenching, man. Like,
that's sad.
everybody I like's dead. We were talking about one of my favorite shows of all time is Babylon 5, which is an old sci-fi TV show. They had a dinner episode. 7 out of 9 people are dead. And I was like,
Wow.
man, you're old. Except they had died at early ages. It just sucks, man. There's just like every time Betty White, talk about like an icon for me. Like dude, that lady cracked fuck out of me. Like she was funny as hell. And it's just this year has been pretty shitty. Spencer is talking through his teeth as always. He's backing it up with action there, Lance.
Yeah.
So at this point, you can.
He's got a good track record, man.
He does have a pretty good track record. DRLS Sword, $15 super chat. Anyone played Total War Warhammer 3? Some YouTubers got it already. I cannot discuss that. But
Cannot hypothetically discuss whether or not.
Yeah, I gotta look at some stuff, but I know a bunch of people are playing that game, and it's looking. We're gonna talk about it in a second because I think Silver also put it on the list, and I wanted to talk about it too. So, Louis Anderson died just now. The comedian.
He died today. Yeah.
The comedian, the heavyset comedian, the looked a little bit like a baby even when he was 50. Is that who we're talking about? Oh man. Wait, no, somebody else said Louis C.K. died. Nah, that's
I
not.
think they're
No,
trolling
not
us.
Louis C.K.
Jeez.
Yeah, they're trolling.
Wow. I'm just
I do
staying in
have
my
one
house.
quick question about the Microsoft thing for you guys. Do you think we're gonna see WoW included in Game Pass and this massive boom of WoW players, influx into Game Pass? Like, surprise, it's included in Game Pass membership. No?
Probably not anytime soon, but eventually, most likely, I would say. But yeah, on an Xbox, I don't know. That's gonna take a while.
If they can make that, right? Because they wouldn't need to adjust
Would
it.
be-
Like,
I'm looking at towards what they did with Bethesda and Elder Scrolls Online, and there they didn't do anything. They changed
Exactly.
nothing about the business model, so I don't know why they would here.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, maybe in 5 years when everything is different, maybe they do, but I don't think to begin with. No, probably not.
okay, interesting. Because they seem to be so keen on getting everything under Game Pass. I was like, is this
so Johnny,
also...
you're like me. I'm the type of person that like some boxers, if they've got somebody on the ropes, they might take a breath.
Yeah.
I'm always of the assumption that if like I was Microsoft, I'd be like, we already got keyboard support. WoW's coming tomorrow. We got blah blah, and it would just flood it. But that is actually dumb. It is very dumb because you do end up shooting all of that good PR and everything in one small group, and then
Right.
it's almost like Sony last year had a great couple of exclusives, but then Microsoft had ones in weird empty spots, and suddenly people are like, whoa, there's a lot of Microsoft, and you sort of lose a little bit of your edge.
almost,
They couldn't actually do that because there's rules that you have to be able to play with a gamepad and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you
Can
to
you
be able
imagine?
to release a game, and I assume they have
That's
to
game with a
adhere to their
gamepad.
own. Yeah. So they're
Well-
not on Game Pass, but like on an Xbox. So
No.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Final Fantasy 14 did a great job. I know, totally different games, but
Does
they
Final
did a
Fantasy
great job.
14 have all the tabs like WoW? Dude, WoW
Yeah.
has
It doesn't have
Well,
nearly
no,
as many tabs.
Oh, okay. I don't know the game. I was just providing an example. Like, they did a great job with controller. Where
Yeah.
it's totally playable. So maybe there's something they can do to.
But I think 14 was designed with a controller in mind.
Mhm.
You're
I
right.
don't think that was like an afterthought.
Yeah. And
I mean,
dude, in
I played it on
fact,
PC and PlayStation at the same time, actually.
yes.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Not only that did they have crossplay, but it was
Yeah.
still PS3 compatible until the last expansion. This last
Oh.
expansion is the first one that is not PS3 compatible. Just to show, it's old.
We were talking earlier about Cryptic, and God, they were mean to me when I tweeted them. But there's some games they have that are MMOs that are on Xbox, including Star Trek, which is one of my favorites. But those were all based around low number of the specials. Like Secret World, one of my favorite MMOs, has 6 or 7 hot buttons. That's it. Those are my favorite types of MMOs in the first place. Daybreak, we've had their developers on. They made DC Universe Online, one of my favorite MMOs. That one's also made for a low number of powers. But WoW is redonkulous, which is probably why Star Wars is not on there too, because it's just tabs, man.
Hot bar after hot bar.
It's ridiculous,
Like
dude.
70% of your screen usually is actions and stat bars. and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
And then you have to remember, kind of like in a fighting game, which combination you're running for the hotkeys, like 4, 5, 6, 4, 6, 7.
Oh, the world's longest controller combo. A, B, 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 X, button, up, down, A, B, B.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I play Elite Dangerous more on my Xbox by 10 times. So they can get some pretty complex games on there. I mean, I was quite surprised that Elite Dangerous is more enjoyable on my Xbox than my PC well, I stream it and it looks perfect on a huge tablet, which is why I like it. But still, they did that. But I do see other stuff coming, but yeah, probably not that. And then, so that's about 80 billion, which sounds stupid to say out loud, but you have people who've broken down the other costs of other companies, and that's one of the reasons why I did the thumbnail. Is a lot of people are worried about the danger of, you know, ignoring even a monopoly, but just all of these coming into one place, and then you know how they get made. I do have to give it to Phil though. In his interview with Gene Park's a really good journalist. I think he got Phil to slip up, because Phil doesn't just, even on Giant Bomb, who he knows, he doesn't slip up. And Phil dropped the name Hexen. And I got to tell you guys, if there's a Hexen game coming, that's the first time you'll see true emotion from me. Like,
I'm with you.
that game is, I mean, I see people when a Pokemon's announced and they're crying, and I'm like, dude, seriously, come on. But if Hexen got announced and they were like, because Power Slave's coming, we know that, one of my favorite of all time, but it's being a remake. But if a AAA Hexen came out, guys,
give it to Bethesda like they did with Doom.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting to see, regardless. Moving on from there, I'm going to verify we don't have any big questions about this. I read Foul Plays. People are talking about COD, but I think, you know, for now, Microsoft said their desire is to have COD on PlayStation. My opinion is that means, and I think everybody agrees in here, is that right now there's deals in place. And after that, you know, we'll see, right? Looks like a lot of Hexen fans. We're all old people. That's why. Well, actually, I guess we do have a couple young ones who are in here, but Hexen, Heretic, Doom. But I think Hexen is probably the biggest one. Heretic was the sequel, I believe. Wasn't it?
Well, which one was one? Which? I can't remember.
So Hexen was on the Sega Saturn. That's the only reason I remember it. It was on the Sega Saturn, and it was the full, slower.
I think Heretic was the sequel.
And Heretic was third person. And Hexen was first. And that's why
I'm talking about
Hexen.
The first person one. The one with where you could turn each other into a chicken, right?
Yes, that's Hexen.
Wasn't there like in multiplayer you had like a wand or staff or something like that in the spell was you turn each other into a chicken?
And it also
did. Am I confusing it? I don't
No,
know.
that's Hexen. And they had a bunch of puzzles in it. And I think Heretic though, if I sort of, and I don't know as much about Heretic, but I believe that either a lot of the developers or it was the same group of people. But regardless,
I think you could play it in first person as well. I vaguely remember
Heretic. You mean
first person?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But that might be mistaken.
It's awesome regardless if that comes out. Like I won't care. First time I heard of the name Hexen. Yeah, dude, we're talking Sega Saturn, 1990.
No, early 90s. Like
no, I'm talking about Sega Saturn. I graduated in 93 and the Saturn wasn't out when I graduated. So 90 probably 96, 97.
Heretic is 94.
Heretic is 94.
Damn.
Well, and I'm also talking about Sega Saturn. It was a port from the PC, so it is true.
Yeah.
So Hexen could have been, Hexen could have been earlier. So,
Moving. Port was in 96.
What was?
No, Hexen is the follow-up.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so it's reversed. All right. So Hexen was the better one.
Hexen is actually called Hexen Beyond Heretic. So.
There you go. Yeah. So regardless, it's just I'm super excited. We have a couple of questions for Victor before we go on to the next news. This is something I think Victor and I may have talked about this, but I don't think I've ever asked him for the story. But how old was Victor when he started in game development, and where did he start? Like, what was the first software job you had
In game dev.
in game dev?
Actually, my first proper real job in game dev is at Fatshark. I've been at Fatshark for 13 years.
Damn.
So when is that? That's 2008. And before that, I studied game design and graphics at the university on a small island called Gotland, outside of Sweden. And before that, I was actually studying to become I was studying financial economy. I thought I was going to go into finance, but then I had a summer internship at a finance bureau here in Stockholm, and I just wanted to kill myself. So
I was wondering if that was coming.
Change.
Right.
Yeah, and my oldest buddy, a guy called Gustav, who works at Avalanche as a level designer, he had found this school at Gotland where you could study to become a game designer, and I was like, "What? You can study to do video games? Are you fucking kidding me?" So I just dropped out of school, went to Gotland and studied the game design for 3 years, and then I came back, and after about 6 months, a year, I had a small sort of internship job at a mobile sort of event company that did they did like for big companies. You had like they did like treasure hunts on the mobile phone, and like stuff like that. So you maybe like a big company like Ericsson or something like that, they have like a conference and they wanted to do something. So I created sort of like LARPs for them, where they were sort of playing around with different snares and stuff like that. But then my first real job in games is at Fatshark, as I was their first QA.
Oh, damn.
And then yeah.
And that does show also QA, and now what was it, last year or the year before that you rose up
head of design.
Yeah. So I mean, people, you can do it, peeps. It's possible. I know that.
Start in the mailroom, work your way up.
Like the old
it
movie.
only takes 13 years.
It only takes 13 years. But on the other hand, I mean, you do see some of these like, it's funny or sad, but I think it was Phil Fish, is that the guy who made Fez?
Fez, yeah.
You see a lot of people who don't have 13 years come in and make an indie game, and then they're surprised by all the weird stuff that can happen in development, and they leave. So in a way, that time has probably also, prepared you and, put you through the fire a couple times, especially because you guys made Escape from Dead Island, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I first met you and found that out, and I was like, "Whoops! Don't watch that review." But no, it's so.
It was a fair review. It's okay.
13
you have
years.
To, you learn from your mistakes, right?
Yeah. Well, and what's weird, speaking of that, so you got Vermintide. Is there anything that when you guys jumped into Vermintide 2, because there's a cool question here that we've all joked about, but I want to ask it in a second. But when it comes to Vermintide 1 to 2, was there something that you guys were we need to do this in 2? Was there any driving specific, like, this has to be in 2? It's like what we need to do.
I think probably the biggest thing was to create like a better progression system, but more choices. So the class system is probably the big thing we wanted to add. But in general, we just wanted to do a do-over, basically, like do it again and do it better and do it just like because Vermintide 1 we did it maybe was like 1.5 years, a little bit more, maybe something like that. So it was pretty short development cycle, and I mean, it turned out really good. We're super proud of it, but there was a lot of things that we wanted to do and we didn't have time for to so it was just basically getting a second chance at doing the same game again, but just doing it right this time, pretty much. And I mean, also adding another faction was a big thing, enemy faction, that is. But basically the thing we really wanted to do was to try to have more of a sense of progression, where you sort of have different classes and you unlock talents, and more of an RPG type of thing. We wanted to add more of that. And
can I ask something related to that? Because sure. What really impressed me with Vermintide 2 is you made every single character. I have like 150 hours in it, and that's because I took every character to like level 30.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed how every character played. It felt really, really well balanced for fun. Each one just in separate ways, from Salzspire to Sienna to Kruger to Barton and Carillion. Like they all felt fun in different ways. So that was something I think you guys really, really nailed. And I'm just interested to, how do you get that balance right?
We have, while designing the games, we use something that we call gestalts, or I don't know really the
That's
English
the
gestalts,
pronunciation. Yep.
Yeah. So we make up these. It's sort of play styles, right? So we have for the melee combat, we have like a smiter, a tank, a ninja fencer, which is a made-up word that we made up, and then for so like the smiter likes, like the smiter personality likes to just hit things and it should go boom or it should die fast and stuff like that. The tank likes to like keep the rest of the team alive. The ninja fencer is like a what's it called, like a CS:GO player, likes to jump around, take like headshots and stuff like that. And then we just make sure that we have elements of like one character or one weapon is not allowed to have all of the gestalts, right? So and like Carillion is the like ninja fencer peak of ninja fencer, and also I would say Salzspire as well is like the other side of that. So they're like the super precise. You want to hit people in the head. You want to be, and then you have Kruber, who's like a smiter tank, and then you have Bardin, who's more of a tank or maybe a little bit smitey and stuff like that. Of course, and then they have some weapons that allow you to sort of take a trip into another gestalt and stuff like that. But that's sort of how we lay it out to make sure that we have the spectrum and try to give different players different sort of if you're this type of player, you will probably gravitate to this, towards this play style, and pretty much that's how we try to do it, at least. So yeah, and then if you like them all, that's awesome as well. But I mean, and that it makes you, like, if you've been playing very much of one of the characters, you have gotten used to one play style, and then you switch and then you realize, oh, I can play it in a completely different way, and that's the good part.
I remember the dwarf, the crossbow, and being like, oh, because dwarves, I'm just always like, man, this guy's, I'm gonna have to get up close. It's all going to be about soaking damage. And instead I could kill some people with the crossbow. And I was like, okay, man, I can do a little bit of both. And then you go in, you find out, yeah, he's not as strong as some things. But, dude, Vermintide also is probably the first game that I noticed. And I think you and I talked about this on a developer podcast with Adam. But your guys' spawns are in places so you always see them crawling. You know, you see the Skaven. They're never... And there's a lot of games, people don't realize, there's still a couple games where the enemy's right there. You see them literally come into the world, and you're like, dude, he's right there. I can see him. What's happening? And
it does happen in our game as well, but yeah.
But I got to admit, I haven't noticed it. And it's like guys crawling up out of buildings and off of walls. That just added so much for me. And being able to sort of feel like they were coming, you never knew where they were going to come from. And when they did pop up, I mean, you figured out over years or hours of playing. But I think after hours of playing, almost any game is a little bit more deep. You know, you can pick it apart at some point. But
the magic starts to go away.
Yeah, and then also the weapon impacts. I still remember, other than Messiah, Dark Messiah, Might and Magic, Dark Messiah, that one had good impact. But then you get Skyrim, which people love and I love, but it's there's no impact. Far Cry Primal, one of my favorite games, there's minimum impact. I still remember playing the first time and hitting somebody, and like, I don't even know if it stopped the sword, but it felt like things were hitting. And the massive increase in that, the feeling of like feedback to the player was just like, I remember going like, oh, I know I hit him, versus I saw my sword. Like, some games you just sort of swing and you're like, I know I did some damage. That game, I'm like, no, that hit somebody. And there's something tangible about that, like I said, even some games I played even recently where I'm like, this combat doesn't feel good.
We put a lot of effort into making sure that that's sort of, I mean, that's sort of our secret weapon, is like, we have figured out how to do melee combat in first person really well.
Dude,
like,
and not many have. Not many people have. Yeah.
No,
No, I'm sorry to
it's-
cut
it
you
is
off.
super difficult, and you have to. I mean, you have to put a lot of effort into it. There's a lot of animation tweaking and effects and sound, and everything has to be exactly right. Like we're making Dark Tide now, when we've sort of started over, you realize how much effort we put into getting Vermintide just right. It's a lot of work
Yep.
to get that stuff right.
Reg had one of the best games
just,
of Vermintide
if you
with me.
just remove one element, the magic sort of disappears. It doesn't work anymore. If you don't get the sound just right, there's something you can't really put the finger on it, but there's like, it doesn't feel great, and then so yeah, it all has to click.
Another thing that feels great in that game is, as a dwarf, you're staring at everybody's nutsack through the entire game. And I know that people wanted him taller. I love it. Because I went into the tall grass and I was like, oh my God, guys, I couldn't find these guys. They were like, we're over here. And I'm like, where? Because it felt so awesome. And climbing to a rock and looking and going, oh, you guys are over there. I love that. Sorry, go ahead.
That's also a trick that we did that sort of paid off way more than we thought it would. Just moving the camera of the player to like getting it low for Bardin and having it a little bit lower for Carillion makes you feel like when you're playing Carillion, she moves faster than the other characters, but she doesn't.
Oh.
And like Saltspire is a little bit taller, so you feel a little bit taller, and like, but they all move exactly the same speed, but it feels like you're sort of really moving
I'm mind
fast
blown right now. They actually move at the same speed. I was convinced Carillion was faster.
In Vermintide 2, maybe Carillion moves a little bit faster, but I know in Vermintide 1 she did not. But everybody thought that she did, but she didn't.
Yeah.
If you guys want to know, that trick for sure works, because I don't know if you guys saw Loeb, Jonah Loeb, he's art director for Skyrim, did a behind the scenes on their anniversary, and he was talking about how they faked going faster with the werewolf. So you can't go faster because the engine wouldn't load, and it was too fast. So they lowered the camera and they put a zoom. And so they were like, people thought, people were like, dude, it's like 1,000 miles an hour. And they're all, no, it's the same speed as the fastest horse. Like it is quite literally completely fake in thinking it's going that fast. But that's how well, an adjustment to a camera.
Change to the camera perspective is like, that's the super trick of making you feel like you're moving really fast, but you're not actually. Yeah.
Right. No, that's very cool. And then here's the next question. And I love this. Victor, when a game is being discussed before, now I know that you've done Vermintide and Vermintide 2, but maybe you've heard this from others, but when a game is being discussed before anything is done, can you explain what that day or meeting is like? Is it just people putting their feet up, throwing ideas on a whiteboard? And this has come up a lot of times, like, what's that? Is there a day? Or is it more like soft?
Usually it's a really long, drawn-out process. But like Vermintide came about from our game director Anders. He had the idea, and I mean, back then, this is what is it, like 6-7 years ago?
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's even further when we started it. So and we just felt that nobody had made, and this has completely changed lately, a really good, solid co-op game for a really long time. Like Left 4 Dead, we all loved Left 4 Dead, and they weren't making any new Left 4 Deads, and we hadn't seen any game like that for a really, really long time. So we just felt like a Left 4 Dead type of game, and then a lot of people at my company are like hardcore Warhammer fans, especially Anders. So what happened was that he called up Games Workshop's customer service and said, hey, my name is Anders. I work at a games company called Fatshark. We have done blah, blah, blah. I want to make a game set in Warhammer. Who do I supposed to talk to? And they're like, okay, you should talk to like these people. And we flew over, and Anders just sort of told them the pitch, like, we want to make Left 4 Dead plus Warhammer. We think it's a great idea. It's going to be awesome. We have done all these previous melee combat games, War of the Roses, War of the Vikings. So we know how to do melee combat really good. And they were like, yeah, sounds awesome. Let's do it. And then, so that's how it happened. And like Dark Tide, which is like what I'm working on right now, that is something, I mean, when we were making Vermintide, we were always like talking about, we have to do a 40K version. Like, it's like, it would be insane not to do a 40K version of this. Like it would be so awesome. So that is something we've been talking about since like doing Vermintide 1, basically.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's sort of a soft thing for you guys. Like it's not exactly like one day everybody.
Yeah.
We've always joked
most
about
of the
that.
time. Most of the time. Yeah.
Let's see. Looking here, reading some of these. Some people are saying that. Oh, love the dwarf. So unique to see the game from Dwarven eyes. Yeah. All you see is crotches. Good job. I love it, but man, it was. I love being. The sense of scale is a big deal to me in games, and so they did a really good job with that.
I mean, he was probably my favorite character, Barton. I mean,
I'm a Bardin player as well.
I mean, the Iron Drake just burning scores of rats is so satisfying.
Satisfying.
We can jump to this. Microsoft has definitely got a soft spot for these kind of games, and it's funny because, like you said, nobody was doing them.
But now that has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's so many of them. And
insane.
What I personally believe, and I fully, this is not BS. I fully believe that when a game is being made by the Vermintide creators, it's going to be different than when it's just like Back 4 Blood was made by Left 4 Dead type. Like people sort of know some of those devs and know some of what they're doing. Or it wasn't them though, was it? Was Back 4 Blood the Left 4 Dead guys?
Rock.
Yeah,
okay. I was just making sure I wasn't talking about.
They made the original sort of mod of Half-Life, and then they got brought into Valve, and then they completed it together with Valve.
Yeah. So when you guys announced it, there is a couple times where you're like, oh, that fits, and that was one of those times where it's like, I mean, I can see why you guys would have been talking about it because it does fit. I'm excited to see it. Dude, I've lived through some bad. Remember, Games Workshop? They've had some bad decades where their games were horrible, and then all of a sudden, not that they have a lot of games. That's another thing.
There was Renaissance, yeah.
There was, and it was cool because I'm a big fantasy Warhammer fan, a little less than Warhammer 40,000. I'm more of I like to role play in that world. And the idea of finally seeing them, except for who are the guys that I hated? Guys, they caught me by the neck. Is that just the man catcher in Vermintide 2? The dude who catches you by, remember he drug that, except for that.
Yeah.
Except for that. Everything in that game is awesome except for that. I hated that guy. I just knew.
Packmaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, there's a code in there that says grab Karak.
Wait, the Packmaster?
Because I was the only guy who ever got
one.
The guy who like carries you, who like gets you and hooks you up with by the neck, and it was always me. You probably don't know, Johnny, because it was me. Every time we played, no one else got that. Maybe they hate dwarves.
Karak is there. Get him.
Well, and the name is from Warhammer. Karak is from Warhammer, so maybe they figured it out. But it's awesome. It's awesome to see that continuation of Games Workshop as a success because I lived through some bad times. People are asking us to talk a little bit about Dying Light 2 and the new games in February. So we've talked about what we're interested in February, right? I think most of us were saying Dying Light and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or
Warhammer 3
and Elden
Warhammer
Ring
3 and Elden Ring. Geez, see, that's the problem. February is ridiculous. Victor, when you get stuff like this, I know you can't play a lot of games. Even if you weren't working, like you said, you have children and all this stuff. Do you sort of watch other games that aren't?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I watch a lot of YouTube clips and stuff like that, and Twitch and stuff like that. Yeah. Sure.
And do you sort of identify like a game like you want to get in a year when you're not busy, or how do you go about buying a game as a developer? What do you do? Do you wait for a sale like a lot of people, or do you jump in right away on some games?
Yeah, definitely. I buy a lot of games, and with like Game Pass and stuff like that nowadays, I just download whatever I feel like. But and also we do we buy a lot of games for the company as well that we can sort of try out and see things and stuff like that. So
see good ideas.
Like pretty much. Yeah, exactly. But I'm really I haven't been a big like Souls guy. They are too difficult for me.
Yeah.
Or like too stressful. I can't take too stressful games. I just freak out. But I'm actually very keen on Elden Ring. The whole sort of Souls plus Zelda type of vibe really
Yes.
is turning me on. So that's something I am excited for. So I hope I can sort of stomach the anxiety of playing a Souls game and power through.
Reg, are you getting Elden? Because I know you're not a Souls fan, but are you getting Elden?
I'm thinking about it because I liked the last one that came out, and I played that to about a third of the way through until I corrupted my save game, which then stopped me from
Which
playing.
one would have been the last one, Reg? Would have been Sekiro?
For me, no, not Sekiro. I'm thinking
That
of
game is tough.
Dark Souls 3, right?
Yeah,
That is one of the best Dark Souls. That one is a nice.
Yeah.
It's like they're something about it, where things come together, and you're like, all right, I get your idea. Yeah, Dark Souls, dude. Elden Ring also, you cannot say enough about adding mobility so that people can feel like they can escape the horse. I know that some people saw the horse and they're like, what the hell? And the horse is riding straight up a cliff, which even caused me to be like, what? But at some point, you're an undead dude anyway. So it's like you have to throw your rationality to the wind. It looks, and it's a painterly Bob Ross look. See, that's the other thing about Elden Ring, man. It's like Bloodborne. It does not look. There's something about the way they're doing the art that looks just one step different from everything else. Even Dark Souls, their background and the color and it's not as bad as Dr. Seuss, but there was a couple things that looked like a little warped or a little warbly, and I like that. I was just like, this looks so good. It's going to be exciting to see. I'm sure it'll do well. It seems like it'll be their #1 seller. Like it just.
Yeah, I think so.
There's nothing but positive. Not positive, but I mean nothing but people looking forward to it. So, looking in here, Reg, Horizon or Elden Ring though? Horizon, right? For you,
for sure. I mean, between those two, no competition for sure. Horizon.
Yeah, Horizon.
I would probably honestly also play Horizon before Elden Ring also. Yeah.
Just because of what we've talked about, right? The difficulty.
Yeah, it's more chill, more relaxing.
Yeah.
And it's dinosaurs and neon. Like that's hard. Dude, that's
Robots, dinosaurs, come on.
I mean, if they added pirates and ninjas, that game would be everything to everybody. I mean, if they figured out some way to get, like, if you fight a ninja in that game, I'm in it. That game is.
There's gonna be ninjas in the game.
When I did the Walking the Walk, it's one of the most enjoyable Walking the Walks I did for Horizon because their tech also is so. They came from a background I just wouldn't have expected to nail third person that well, and climbing to the top of the tall necks and all that kind of stuff was just like, damn. There's a lot of atmosphere to that game, and. To me, that's half. And I like Aloy, man. I mean, I think I actually really dig her character. I think she's actually fantastic. And Lance Riddick, the voice actor of the...
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that guy's awesome. So, yeah, it'll be cool. And they're also really good with voices. Is that his name?
The character's name,
yeah.
It reminded me of Fringe every time he shows up because of his distinctive voice.
Yeah, or The
Wire.
What's the movie where he runs the hotel for Keanu Reeves?
Oh, dude,
John Wick.
John Wick. Yeah. He's awesome. I always say, a lot of people haven't watched the show, but Spartacus had the guy who ran the gladiatorial on Emmaus. If they had those two as like two detectives in a TV show, I don't think I could enjoy a show more. Like they're two guys that you just don't see that much. But when I've never seen Lance Reddick in something he's not good in, it's weird. Like he's just always good. Jared Knight, Super Chat. I remember my friend saying that he played a Dark Souls game without getting hit. I was like, why are you punishing yourself? Jared, tell your friend he's full of shit. From Karak, from ACG. He's full of shit.
Well, there are no-hit challenge
on
runners,
Twitch,
but
getting money for it. This guy is a dude at his...
not happening. It takes hundreds of hours, right?
Yeah.
To get to
dude, there's always some jackass somewhere, one of your friends who's always like, you tell them a story, you're like, hey man, went driving racing cars, and they're like, I build cars. You're
I did it easily.
I did it easily.
First try.
I didn't even plug in the controller. I just used my mind and I played the game. And you're like, dude, knock it off. Let's see. Lance Reddick is awesome in the show Corporate. I liked him in Quantum Break. That was another game. That's a Microsoft title, Quantum Break, unfortunately, because I just don't think we'll see another one. Moving on from there, I still have a couple Victor questions. We'll hold on to those for a second. Let's go to Johnny. let's see, Johnny, what did we cover for your topics?
Okay.
We covered. Do we have anything else from yours? We want to go to Warhammer from Silver. Have I missed anything?
We covered most of it. I think Silver had some Warhammer 3 stuff he wanted to cover for announcements and stuff.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Warhammer announcements this week. First of all, kind of boggles my mind. Multiplayer, the campaign multiplayer will be open to 8 factions, 8 players, which is just sort of unthinkable because, I mean, they've had sort of stability issues with 2. So increasing that to 8 just seems like, wow. Getting that to run right. But if that works, it's going to be really, really interesting. And it will allow for simultaneous turns.
Yeah, thank you. That was going to be my question.
You no longer have to sit there and wait.
Players in the same map?
Yes.
Oh, that's going to be chaos.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hey, that's going to be chaos. I think that was a pun. He didn't plan it, but there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, and they also opened up about the last faction, the Demon Prince, who's going to be this fully customizable general
so good.
With really, really expansive and interesting customization options. And they actually allowed people, they gave the game out to streamers and allowed them to stream the first 50 turns of the campaign. So there's actually a lot of gameplay available now for seeing how the game's going to play, what changes they've implemented for the campaign and stuff like that. And honestly, it looks really, really good. Like the diplomacy changes, especially are especially welcome, I think. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it now. Also sort of dreading it because that game is going to devour hours of my life.
Well, this is the first customizable main, right? Am I right on that?
Yes,
dude.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you saw it, but they showed a flash of that customization screen, and because it's a demon, obviously mutations, and I was like, "What? People are going to spend 8 hours just in that, trying to figure out if their horn is exact." Like, because I'm a big fan of like Spore,
and you can switch it.
Kind of
you can switch it around at any time.
I know.
Like, you can go from one battle to the next with 2 completely different forms.
It's so cool, man. They really did up this. I wasn't aware the 8, but simultaneous turns will help this. I was thinking, oh my God, can you imagine how long that game would be? Like, but now here's the thing about those games. If 2 people are in a battle, can a third person enter the battle?
Yes. I mean, the 2-player campaigns used to work in a way that where if you were playing them adversarially and you went into a battle, then the other player could enter the battle and take control of the AI units.
Okay.
And fight against you. Alternatively, if you were playing cooperatively, then you could give control of your units to the other player and micromanage a lot more effectively. Like give him control of all the cavalry or all the archers or whatever you wanted. So I would imagine that it's going to be a similar approach for the multiplayer campaign for Warhammer 3.
It's, you know how sometimes a sequel will do everything, that one game that's like, it reminds me of Forza 5. It's going to be hard to do more than a Forza 5, or there's some games like that. It feels like this one is the last spit before maybe they change some stuff up because they're just putting so much into it. The big question I have is everybody that you used to play in 2 plus the DLC available in 3? What I mean by that is I don't want to like buy 3. Am I going to have to
start over?
Right. Am I going to have to start over and rebuy those, Silver? Do you know, like, all those races?
I mean, it is a little complicated. I mean, the campaign, there are going to be 2 campaigns in the game. So initially at release, there's only the one, which will only feature the factions featured in Warhammer 3. So the ones that have been presented. So like the Ogre Kingdoms, Cathay, Kislev, the Chaos factions.
Okay.
Later on, they will introduce the Mortal Empires campaign, which is the campaign that's going to incorporate the maps of the Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 and all the factions from those games. But in order in order to have access to those factions, like to play those factions, you will need to own the games in which those factions are featured, or the accompanying DLC that features them.
That campaign is gonna be absolutely massive with all those factions.
I think it'll be one of those games where 5, 6, 7 years from now, they'll, you'll go to Steam, whatever charts, and there'll still be like, a couple thousand petering away, maybe more playing that. I mean, it seems like
we are, I don't know, shit, isn't it 5 years now out from like Warhammer 2?
I think so.
And I'm still playing that, and I have, I don't know, 300 hours now in that game. Like, that game just takes up days, because it's one of those games where it's Civilization type, like in that way, where you sit down one evening and you go, one more turn, one more turn, and then 50 turns later, it's 4 or 6 a.m.
I think people also, like it, dislike it, what have you. I think D&D, as in TSR / Wizards of the Coast now, their worlds have never been exactly riveting to me fictionally. And I think Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Roleplay have always been the Lizardmen or like Aztec, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's just these slight things. You're like, whoa, that's different. And there's an edge to it that if you don't like it, you don't like it, usually. That's what I've found. If I introduce somebody to Warhammer 40,000 or RPG, if there's something, it's low magic a lot of times, especially in the role-playing game. And they'll be like, it's not, I want to throw some fireballs. But their worlds aren't interesting. This world and these races, like, that's a lot of races. I mean, I don't know how many that game's going to have, but it seems like it's going to have upwards of, like, 20 or something when they're done. Because you have the different empires split, too, don't you? Don't they split the human? Yeah, so as long as there's lizardmen, I don't care. That's my favorite. Lizardmen are like my...
They are pretty cool. Yeah.
Dude, they're awesome. Like, they're just... And even when you read their fiction, they're great. By the way, Warhammer 3 is on Game Pass. Yes, everything's on Game Pass. We might as well just say, and now feels like everything's on Game Pass. Speaking of that, Reg, you want to read free games?
All right. So 3 games up first, or 1 free game on the Epic Game Store. That's Relicta this week. And coming next week to the Epic Game Store is Demon X Machina. Machina, yeah, not sure on the pronunciation. All right. So going on from there, Game Pass, that's the long one usually. We have Death's Door, the Hitman Trilogy, Paparazzi, Rainbow Six Extraction, Windjammers 2, Danganronpa, Trigger Happy, Havoc Anniversary Edition, and Nobody Saves the World. And then let's see if we have anything else new. Xbox Games with Gold, we have Aground and Space Invaders Infinity Gene. And on Xbox Game Pass for the Xbox, let's see if we have anything extra. No, we don't. Nope, that's it.
That's it for total. So Game Pass has got Hitman 3. And then the trilogy, which also released on Steam, which I guess has the same server issues. People are mad about the price, which is one thing, which is, I can get why people are mad. But the main thing about that game is the online requirement. I hate that. Or what do you want to call it? It's not a requirement, but if you don't play online,
a progression requirement.
Everything is borked.
Yeah,
that's too bad, because that game is unbelievable. Is it still hashed silver on Steam reviews? Is it still at mostly negative?
It's now at mixed.
It's now at mixed.
It's at mixed, yeah.
Yeah. They were getting the crap beat out of them. They were also getting the crap beat out of them for price, but I think a lot of people see price after they can't connect to the server too. You know what I mean? Like, if those two things are combined, it's even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, that's true, but it's just that was the overall complaint that I saw the most commonly, was just basically just a lot of posts with the one comment, why is this still full priced a year after release?
Yeah,
was the main sort of thing people got angry about that I saw.
I only saw the server stuff, but I mean, if anybody's why is still the same price, go ask Nintendo. I mean, some companies,
or like, I mean, does Call of Duty drop in price a year out? No.
No. I bought in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the one I like, the space one. I know most people didn't like it. I actually enjoyed the hell out of that. And I guess I had it on another account on Steam or something. And it was like 59 or whatever when I bought it. It was ridiculous. I mean, you're talking about 7 years later, 8 years later. Some games don't drop. It's just the way it is. Some companies like Nintendo never do. Yeah, I just wanted to say people are noticing it. We sold 20 shirts. So thank you very much. Glad you guys like the merchandise. Any of those games you guys interested in? I'm interested in... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention Death's Door, one of the best indies, in my opinion, last year, and is on there if people want to check it out. And then I also got recommended Nobody Saves the World, that Reg mentioned there. Apparently that is also very enjoyable.
I saw that one. That one's the sort of top-down cartoony.
Yep. Exactly.
Graphically, it's probably not my thing. Death's Door was my game of the year, Zankale says. Death's Door was the one with the crows, right?
Yep.
Yep. Beautiful pixel art.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Silver? You said also.
There's also Paparazzi, a game about photographing dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all the game is?
Pretty much.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not a paparazzi if you're photographing
paparazzi,
dogs.
not paparazzi.
Paparazzi.
Not pup.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come on, guys. Come on.
I mean, Johnny, come on. You should appreciate that one.
No, even I don't. Even I don't.
You know, the thing is especially when you look at...
But I mean, it's a very charming and adorable game.
And the fact that it's out and about and people can get it is sort of cool. I mean, people can make some crazy stuff, you know, especially indie devs. Well, anybody. I mean, it's just very cool to see the flexibility to see some of the games we're seeing now. You know, if you ignore the adult hentai weird crap on Steam and you look at the normal game, there's so many crazy titles that I'll go on YouTube and I'll accidentally spell a game wrong and I'll get 5 other new games. You know, some of them looking like incredible. So it's very cool to see those kind of things. And then the next up, so
I mean, speaking of that, we could do the indie game of the week.
Yeah, we'll just do it in a row. Go for it.
It's actually one that I missed from late last year called Steel Armor.
Continue. I gotta help my dog. He's
just a side-scrolling action game in the vein of like old Genesis, Super Nintendo, SNES games, like type of Mega Man style. It has really amazing pixel art, really detailed. Like the frames of animations, there are so many frames that it looks really fluid. It just looks exceptional. It's fairly short, but you can ramp up the difficulty and make it a bit longer. You don't really have any progression. You just you keep what you go in with from the beginning and end the game with. It's satisfying. Enemies are satisfying and fun to fight. It's just a good old school side-scrolling shoot 'em up that I really recommend people take a look at.
As I get back and he's done, what was the game called? Sorry, I had to help my dog.
Steel Armor.
Steel Armor. Is it and it's a side-scrolling shooter?
Correct.
Okay.
Steel Assault. Sorry, not Steel Armor. Steel Assault. Yeah.
Like old Metal Gear kind of game, or what was that one? Metal Slug.
More like a Mega Man or Gunstar Heroes, I think it is.
Oh, Gunstar Heroes was good. Wizard of Smoke, $5 super chat. Happy Friday to the best gaming podcast around. Anyone else experiencing the Hitman series for the first time, like I am? And which of the 3 is the best? Victor, have you done Hitman 3 or Hitman at all?
No, not the new ones actually. I played the original 2. I think 1 and 2, like the previous 1 and 2. But I can't do stealth games. I don't have the patience. I just fuck up all the time. Like I don't know. It doesn't click with me. I don't have that type of waiting around. I know the new ones you can be more creative and do more insane stuff. But I haven't gotten around to playing it. But yeah, I played the old ones, the really old ones.
Silver, of all these, which do you like best, 1, 2, or 3?
I mean, it's hard not to say 3 because you can roll 1 and 2 into it, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my answer.
Mm.
Like that's the culmination. I mean, some of the levels in 3 are really, really stellar. It is like with a lot of developers where you see them really taking what they've learned through their previous iterations of the game and then just sort of like with FromSoft and Dark Souls 3, right?
Yeah.
And then just taking all those lessons and making them come to fruition.
I'm happy to see that kind of stuff too, like Dark Souls or like this, where they do get a chance to do, especially Hitman, which had some issues financially. 2 had the issues with cutscenes, and I remember talking to them, and they're running out of money, and it's like, who's going to publish it? And then finally sort of getting control of it and seeing them. And the ability to take what you have in 3 and use it in 1, that's rare. Almost no game lets you take a weapon or whatever from the 3rd title and go backwards into a completely different level and use it. And it wasn't everything, but it was enough that you were like, wow, there's a lot going on here. When I did the Walking the Walk, Sapienza. When I did a Walking the Walk there, it was crazy to be able to do a Walking the Walk of a single level in Hitman. That's how big and like ingenious they are. Yeah. Oh man. Byron Cutler says, talk about WWE 2K22. What about it? I've seen him post a bunch of times. He's very much a WWE fan, but I don't think I have much to add about, are they going to charge you for your beard and your hair to be different colors like they did in NBA? Dude, I'm sorry, guys, but their monetizations, they're on crack. I don't know what's going on. Their monetization, it was NBA, right? Yeah, that I had to buy, dye for my beard and dye for my hair so that they were the same. Like that is.
And you don't even unlock it, but you have to pay every time.
That's another thing.
Wow.
You paid and you didn't unlock it, dude. It was so bad. So
Pay
hey,
as in money? Pay?
yeah, money,
Yeah.
cash, dude. 2K.
What?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When I reviewed it, people were like, "Wait, this can't be possible." And I'm like, "Watch what happens." And I showed it in my review, and it was separate. Paid it, didn't even unlock at the time. You're just like,
And it's like normal colors.
yeah, black.
Or is it?
It was crazy. It was crazy. They and I don't know if they fixed it in that game, but their monetizations had gotten so crazy that when we talk about NFTs, they're one of the companies that I'm so nervous about NFTs and
right.
The tokens and all that kind of stuff, because like they just don't. And the one developer I was talking to, he doesn't even work in the game industry anymore. Right when he left, which is only a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Listen, their idea is that we're putting, not theirs in 2K, but his company, they stated we're putting NFTs in the game regardless of any negative reaction of gamers, because the amount of money we can make on NFTs dwarfs replacing the entire audience." And I was like, what? But I see it, because NFTs, there's so much money in NFTs that I can see, it's going to replace microtransactions, man. And did you guys see the financial analyst was saying that their expectation is 95% of games within 7 years will, have some kind of NFT in it. So let's just destroy the world.
Yeah.
NFTs bother the hell out of me. Name banned again.
We already are, so.
We are. $20. Super chat. If there were a mirror on the wall, who on this panel would be the fairest of them all? Victor.
It's definitely Victor.
Yeah.
Victor. Listen, guys, we got faces that are great for radio, but
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Great
right?
for radio.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
my own wife looked at my beard today, and I always comb it out, so it's huge when I wake up, so I surprise her. She looked at me, and she's like, "Dude, you look like a Russian from an old Street Fighter game. Like, would you calm that thing down?" Yeah, no, it's definitely Victor. Moving on from there, I'm going to look at news for a second, but Johnny, I wanted to make sure that we got to the patron questions in the Discord, because I didn't last time.
Okay.
And we had some good ones, and then I had told them to ask some questions of Victor.
Okay, so let's go to the Discord. This one from Kenken Grumpet. That's- Yeah.
Can Grumpet?
yeah.
All right. Okay.
Aside from you and other independent game reviewers like SkillUp and Writing in Games, are there any reputable game reviewers that are not IGN and Kotaku on I apologize. On an additional note, do you think the authors of clickbait controversial articles from said media outlets are forced to write those and feel guilty doing so? Or do they not have a barometer? Your reviews are informal and entertaining, and so are the ones with the return of X-Play's Adam Sassler, whose format is similar with the addition of discussion debate.
Yeah, I like Adam Sessler's stuff. He's got some weird politics, but I can separate that. Because I think he was the guy that said you should dox people, and I was like, what? You know, because he was getting a lot of attacks personally, which sucks. Writing on games is incredible, and he's like the person that I'm telling everybody if you want to see somebody, and he almost quit YouTube a couple weeks ago. He did a video right after I pimped him a couple times on the channel. Writing on games is awesome. Is there any other somebody? I don't watch a lot of reviews because I'm pretty much busy doing them. So if you guys have any.
I have one.
Go for it.
Like one of the go-to resources I have for like indie games is a very small indie channel called I Dream of Indie.
I Dream of Indie?
Yeah.
Okay.
They basically just exclusively review smaller indie games. Like they do, I think they're up to now to doing like one review a day for small indie games.
Okay. All right, so there's one. Anybody else?
And they're short. They're like 4 or 5 minutes.
Was that a ding at me for a 20-minute review?
Not at all.
I'm just do you guys have any? Victor, you got any that you watch if you get a chance? Or do you watch any walkthroughs or anything?
Honestly, I watch your reviews usually. I watch Skill Up as well. And then I usually like browse around quite a lot, but those are the two ones that I usually like come back to over and over. But then I take snippets from a lot of them to try to get a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't think of any like no.
I think the best bet is to grab a couple.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you know, that's why I told people to go watch other reviews on Extraction, because I was like, this is what I think. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are, you know, there's some hyperbole going on in clickbait stuff. There were some really bad ones for Extraction, which were just heinous. But when you look at, like, reviews, you probably should grab a couple, because not everybody's going to like everything. You know, sports game, right? Like, if I'm reviewing a sports game, it's got to be UFC. Oh, thank you. Casey PB did mention somebody. I've watched 2 reviews, and I actually... you know, you don't have to agree. I hate when people say that. Of course, you don't have to agree. But I do like the way he puts them together. Is G-Man. G-Man, if you guys have ever seen. He actually, he's actually one that's popped up a couple times that I've really liked. But I think overall, just check him out. I do like PC Gamers more than I used to, because Silver and I always, like, disagreed on PC Gamer. I don't know what it was about some of their stuff I didn't like. But in the last couple times,
well, they did give Dragon Age 2 like a 90+ score.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, whatever. But no, you know, look at Cyberpunk. Some people said to go get that day on. So I think when you look at it, that go check out a bunch of people. I mean,
also before we forget, abbreviated reviews. NDO, yeah.
Yeah, guys, abbreviated reviews. They're like 2 to 3 minutes long. It's better than most reviews. They're funny. Indio is genuinely funny. You know, I know some people hate my humor, even though I don't do it as much. But like in the old days, people would be like, "Why are you talking about chickens fighting each other?" And I'm like, "Dude, because it's fun. It's just a joke." Indios are genuinely hilarious sometimes. So yeah, I would for sure pimp his and say you should check his out. Let's see. Yeah, I don't like PC Gamer. Well, I'm saying I do now. Or more. I don't know if PC Gamer, I'm sure they have multiple reviewers. That's the thing. Oh, Gene Park.
I mean, it depends on review.
Yeah, so Gene Park, Washington Post. I've been randomly catching his stuff. We follow each other. We've talked a little bit on Twitter. I don't even know how I found out about him, because normally I don't read reviews very much. But Gene Park, sometimes he likes a game more than me or whatever, and I can't figure out why he likes something. But once I read his stuff, there's only about 3 people I know who have a good amount of context, you know, in their reviews. A lot of times you're just like, dude, you know, that there's not a lot of context. Like, I know people were getting on Skill Up big time for Extraction, because it was just like, this is boring, but wasn't saying, there wasn't a lot of context. We all have that issue. I've done it as well, but I think for sure Writing on games, Inyo. Gene Park does a good job. That's about it. Check whoever you like and whoever speaks to you. That would probably be the best bet. What else we got?
Also, I just want to slip in here a question for Victor based on what you were discussing, because one thing is watching reviews for games like we do, but you put out a game that you worked on for like 2 years, right? Or so. So for you, what is that day like where the embargo is up and reviews are popping, and it's not just one, right? It's like everybody's reviewing your game. How is that day for you, and what has the experience been like with something like Vermintide 2 or other games?
Yeah, good question.
I mean, with Vermintide and Vermintide 2, we were lucky and got a lot of good reviews. So then it's awesome. Like, I remember we had like a release party and we got the review score from PC Gamer. And say what you want about PC Gamer, but PC Gamer is a really big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they are.
And also for me personally, like PC Gamer used to be the magazine I read when I was like 14 years old. It was always on my nightstand. And like I remember reading PC Gamer and like thinking, how do you make games? It's like magic. You can't do that. And then like being in PC Gamer, getting, I can't remember what you got. We got like a really good score, like 90 or something like that. It was like, whoa, wow. We were like running around hugging each other.
That's awesome.
That was a big moment. But like reading or seeing the bad reviews hurts a hell of a lot. Like it's but it's the same. It's the same with like proper reviewers, and also like reading comments and like Steam reviews and stuff like that. It's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down often. Like it can be you have to do it, but it can be really depressing as well if you're getting, because the thing is like you get maybe, let's say we had just 1,000 reviews and there were 20 that were really bad. You only focus on the really bad ones.
Yeah.
It's you instantly forget about the 980 really positive ones and look at like, okay, there's one guy here that really hates the game, and you go and so it's but I mean, it is, getting good reviews is a hell of a lot of fun. Getting bad reviews is really tough. I mean, because you spent, like you said, like 2 years working on that game, or more even. So then failing is a really it's horrible. But luckily with the last 2 games, so the last 6 years of my life has been very positive. And it's and also like our games have over the years gotten better and better and better scores, so it's a nice sort of progression. Early on we were happy just getting like a 3, was like, yeah, we got a 3, they're positive. And now you sort of the expectations are going up. But I'm dreading releasing Dark Tide that I'm working on right now, because of that. It's such a weird time. You sort of want to be happy, but then you get a bad review or something like that and you feel really down, and it's a mix of emotions. But making games in general, I can tell you, is a roller coaster of emotions. Like it's a long stretch of time, and like games when you're making them suck. They are so bad. Like you can't imagine how bad a game is before you are done with it. So it's like you have to have the sort of imagination of like, it's gonna be good when we get all of this
the
vision, and just sort of have
faith.
the faith that it will be good. Well, when we are done with everything, we get rid of all the gray boxes and all that stuff. It's gonna look awesome. We have made it before. It's gonna be good. So yeah.
VN says, you didn't get lucky, Victor. You guys worked hard, and while there were bugs, your main gameplay, killing rats, was really, really good and polished, which is true. It is just killing rats.
Yeah.
And yet, it's awesome.
And Beastman.
And Beastman.
And
Beastman. It is weird, especially because human brains, that's how we work. Like, you focus on the bad. And you get people who say they don't focus on the bad. And certainly I know that, like, if people come at me, I'm like, all right, whatever, you deal with real stuff in real life. But that 42-inch screen in front of you, if you're a developer, can be your window to the world. And the idea of seeing a bad review.
And I mean, it's also it's in the bad reviews you will find the things that you actually probably need to fix. So you have to read the bad reviews, even though many of them might be like unfair or anything.
Yeah.
Like it's,
But they may
but
pick a real
there
point, is what you're saying.
Yeah, somewhere in there is the truth about what is wrong, and you want to fix that. So you have to sort of wade through the
Right.
negativity and all that stuff to find like, okay, we probably should fix this thing because it's obviously a problem. And yeah.
Just track Reg. He rarely does reviews. When he does, it's either really good or really bad. How many reviews? You don't do a lot of reviews, right, Reg? Unless it's really good or really bad.
Yeah. And
oh.
all of my Steam history, I got like 17 or something, and it's
17 total
because
reviews.
it's standout good or standout bad. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just listening to my phone. Yes, I still have a landline, so I don't have to have my cell phone connected to the internet. But yeah, I mean, it's the idea of being a developer behind the scenes. If anybody wants to know how tough it can be, I tease the shit out of Cyberpunk because there was some questionable stuff. However, when their CEO came up and he did a video and he's like, this game is not where we want it to be, blah blah blah. He looked rough. He looked like somebody who had been taken and just beat the shit out of. Like, you could tell. It doesn't, whatever somebody's done prior, I could tell that was hitting them, honestly, like sliming them. And everybody, no developer wakes up and says, man, we're going to make a shitty game today.
Yeah,
no.
It's never happened. And so the idea of this guy, they did some stuff. Like I said, there are some stuff that, not a big fan of. But overall, that had to have been a rough. I watched him talking, and I was like, I still have my issues with the game, but not the developer. I mean, I do. It got where it is because of some bad decisions, but that it has to be about the game. And I think I did go after a couple devs in the old days, where now I'm like, yeah, if I hit on one guy or the lead, who knows, like if that one person had any, there's 1,000 things that could go wrong. It's best to just go at it as this game is not where it should be versus attacking a person.
It's a lot
That's
easier
rough.
doing a bad game than it is doing a good game.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you guys with Dark, I will say this. I actually know where you're coming from, because that was sort of going to be a question, but I didn't want to skew negative. But you guys have progressively gone up in score. And the honest truth is, Warhammer fans are notoriously cranky. And they are some cranky bitches. And I'm one of them, where I'm like, this lizard man is not exactly as tall as he should be, because we're nerds, right? It's 5'8". So you guys having Dark Tide coming, how, I don't want to skew negative, but you have to hit some things from Vermintide in Dark Tide, successes and stuff. Do you guys have, I don't want to call it counseling, but do you guys have a prep where you're like, okay, people, like prior to Vermintide 2 when it came out, does everybody come together and say, okay, just everybody be aware, there's going to be some people who hate this? Like, how do you handle it?
Like that, yeah, okay. Like coaching before.
Like coaching,
people,
to a perfect word, yeah. To protect
not more than maybe like a speech by our CEO
or
somebody like that, like on a Friday meeting, like saying, okay, we're about to release this. Some people might have opinions and don't take it personal and stuff like that, but no, not really. But it more happens when we notice that some people are sort of diving too deep into the well of sadness and depression.
Yeah.
And like think about it, like look at the positive, stop, like maybe don't read the Steam reviews for a while and just continue
or ever.
And also we do stuff where our community guys, they will sort of aggregate all the feedback, so we don't actually have to read it ourselves, because it can be really detrimental to actually getting work done when there is stuff that is like all over the place. People are saying mean things. You get sort of, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So yeah. So we try to do it like that, but no real sort of. But I mean, the thing with Warhammer, we knew that people would be super I don't know, anal is the right word, but like very
perfect.
No, that's a perfect word.
Strict with like the rules and everything, and so we are extremely hard on ourselves. Like we don't do stuff just because we make sure that it fits and it stays to what is true in Warhammer. And also we have a super tight relationship with Games Workshop. They approve everything we do. So yeah.
I don't know if this question is too specific but the Winds of Change update for Warhammer
Winds of
2.
Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, Winds of Magic. Sorry.
Yep.
From what I remember, I didn't really get to play it much at launch, but that was somewhat controversial from what I remember in terms of like the reception you got from it.
Yeah.
And what that was like compared to like
that
the more positive reception for like the initial release.
Exactly. Yeah, Winds of Magic got a pretty bad like Steam reviews at least and stuff like that. We got pretty hit by it because we did some changes that might have been we didn't really think about the consequences of some of the changes we did. We then stepped back a bit from some of those and did some tweaks to it. So I think now it's in a better place. But we were trying to the thing that we were trying to do was we were trying to create a sort of game mode that had increasing difficulty. So we needed to do something to be able to sort of ramp up the difficulty. And then, so we did some stuff to how like staggers and things like that work to be able to increase staggers and stuff like that. And to be able to have you increase in your power to be able to go further down the rabbit hole sort of. But we didn't really realize how a very small change would sort of affect the players that have been playing the game for a really long time and have it sort of down to a like what's it called, like a motor skill. It's like that they're not even thinking about what they're doing, and even the smallest little change really messed with their sort of flow. So so we had to sort of step back on that decision just to fix it. So yeah, it happens. I mean, we didn't mean to make it worse. We were trying to make it better, but
It's funny you were talking about that Street Fighter. I talked to a guy who developed the original Street Fighter 2, and he was telling me that if you you change one hit point of something, but it's you may even have people who know that, but they try to explain like the consequences of it, and a developer will be like, no, because the fight will last a little bit longer or whatever, which we want. And they're like, no, you can't do that. It's one of the reasons why we talk about difficulty in the Discord all the time, because what I hate in difficulty is just adding hit points, right? Because then you're like, no, I'm hitting him with an axe. Like, dude, at some point a dude's going to die from this. And yet you're spamming and they're sponging and you're like, what is going on here? And it can be really difficult to make even one small change. And like you said, if it's their motor skill, if that's what they're like used to and they're not getting that result, I can see people being like, what the hell is going on here? What else do you got there, Johnny?
Right. So next question from Old Slappy. How does these names, man? How does the gaming industry reduce the negative impact shareholder pressure has on game development? A large representation of shareholders investing in the gaming industry are companies like BlackRock, who has very little insight into the gaming industry.
Yeah, Victor, you guys, I mean, your guys is all your funding is all just you guys, right? You don't have...
well, it's changed now, but
has it?
Yeah, now we do. We're actually owned by Tencent nowadays.
So, right, I forgot.
It's different now. But yes, when we created Vermintide, it was Vermintide 1 and Vermintide 2 was 100% self-funded by us. So we had all the power to say and do whatever we wanted. And honestly, it's the exact same now. Even though we are owned by Tencent, we still have complete power of doing what we want. So that nothing has changed really. But yeah, I think like this is me personal, like very personal opinion. I think making games with and like the stock exchange can be a really bad combination, because you don't want to like it's impossible to say when a game will be fun. Like so it's really difficult to know exactly, and we are always working in chaos, sort of like we don't know what we are doing 100%. We don't know how is it going to take 2 weeks to make this enemy fun. We don't know. It's like, yeah, well, it's probably going to take 2 weeks, and then but then it took 4 weeks or 5 weeks or a year or 2 years, because it's sort of we are always trying to do stuff that we haven't done before. Right? So it's really hard to tell, is this gonna work out how we imagine it to? So if you then have a date, sort of, you have to release at this time, it's gonna be really hard to guarantee a good product. So and also I like, there's gonna be weird decisions that might be made that if like that isn't probably in the service of the game, maybe always, because like shareholders, they want to make money, right? So
yeah,
it's the wrong motivation, or can be. So no, it's probably not but at the same time, it can allow you to make games that you couldn't do before and stuff like that. So it's a give and take.
yeah. Reg, any thoughts on investors driving game dev?
I think the more important is probably who is the head of the company, even if you have investors on board.
Gotcha.
Like if the CEO, for example, himself is basically just in it for the money and doesn't care about games, then that's a whole different story than if you have someone who at least seems to be in for games.
Do you it's a real question to you then, you look at Embracer, you know, and all of their stuff, and I think it was you and I, but I know I've talked about it in the Discord. Remember when Embracer came out and he started buying these, he said, listen, our goal is not to make AAA games, and it's not to spend millions upon millions, it's to make good games at a cost.
Smaller games that give us a solid profit.
Does he feel like a medium ground to you then? Like half in, half out? Like that's the way he comes across to me.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they are going for a specific market segment. Like we're not going for the AAA market. We're not looking to spend massive amounts of money, but we're going for the maybe AA side of things. We want to provide good services. We want to provide good games. So that was an important part in that, that still make a profit. So I think that's a pretty happy medium. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a game first super optimist who ignores maybe completely ignores the business side of things and the facts that exist there, and not someone just in it for the money either.
You don't happen to be talking about Ken from BioShock, are you? Did you see Ken Levine get?
No.
They wrote it wasn't a hit piece, but there was a journalist who wrote up, you know, they keep dropping auteur or whatever, you know, like artiste, and it's like it sometimes to me that just paints them as poor. Like, it's like, come on, guys. It pinky up shit, which Ken is. Ken's talked about it. He destroys stuff. He's like, don't like it, destroy it. And I know that that's hard, but it's funny you were mentioning he is that guy who will just keep making stuff and remaking stuff. And if I was an investor, that he would not be somebody I'd buy. That's like, I would not buy anything Ken was making. I would certainly love it and play it, but there's some developers who do have that extended, we're just going to make it forever. And you're like, dude, is this
Chris
ever?
Roberts. I mean,
Chris Roberts from
yes,
from Star Citizen.
Those are the kinds of developers though who definitely profit from some oversight, because you do have the developers and the people with the mindset who just keep themselves trapped in some kind of perfectionist loop. And those people definitely need someone to say, okay, enough is enough. You have to move on to the next thing. It's good enough now.
Listen, Reg, I'm going to fight for Star Citizen forever. But it's so funny because Freelancer, one of my favorite games, and Chris, you know, like you just see all of this money and and to me, I've got my money out of it. I only spent $50, you know, fly my spaceship. I've already got, but that's gone forever. I mean, guys, 2013.
Yeah, no, that's never going to be finished.
Right. Isn't that?
I keep forgetting that I own it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
That's nuts. It's like Zombioid. I don't know if you guys. So it's just Project Zomboid. Sorry, I got that prior to even knowing YouTube was a thing, like that I could make videos. Wow. It was
that the first version of that released, I believe, before Desura was a thing. That indie platform.
It did, and that's come and gone.
And then it came and went.
It's nuts. It's and admittedly that game is good and it was enjoyable back when I bought it. But yeah, we do see some long-term stuff that I'd like to get shored up. It's weird though with like Ken. I love everything he's done too. I do like all the. I think everything he's done, I've genuinely enjoyed. So sometimes I'm like, well, but I just don't know if I've genuinely enjoyed like Infinite What was that? BioShock Infinite or Infinity?
Infinite.
Infinite.
I don't know if I enjoyed Infinite as much as how harsh it was to make, if that trade-off is there. Like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like the classic, like maybe BioShock was. But yeah, it's always interesting to see. Peter Molyneux is one who's always interesting as a business person to sort of track and be like, whoa, what's the plan today? You know?
Yeah.
He did the NFTs, which worked out quite well for him. So what else you got, Johnny? Questions?
This question from Raven to Victor. How strict is the enforcement in regards to artistic license for Games Workshop IPs?
Good question.
Pretty strict. I mean, there's everything has to look like it looks. Basically, it needs to be what it is. They are very protective of their IP and the look of things. So yeah, we have to really adhere to the style of like the minis and stuff like that. But we usually do is we scour through old books and stuff like that and find things, references that have already existed, and use those to sort of prove our point when we want to do something. But I mean, it's also we want to make it true to what it is. Like it should look like a Warhammer or 40K. Like it should be. That's what we're making, right? So we just want to. What we want to do is sort of take what's a little mini tabletop figure and try to figure out how would this look in like real life or close to real life in some kind of exaggerated reality. So yeah, I mean, it is sometimes it could be like, are you kidding me? Like, do we really have to make it exactly like this? Because like, but at the same time, that's how it should be. Like, so it's
yeah, you didn't buy the or you guys didn't get the IP to turn around and make the characters look nothing like the IP.
Exactly.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question, Victor. You guys used to use the game engine. Was it Adobe's game engine? What you guys used to use?
Autodesk.
Autodesk. I'm
We're
sorry.
still doing that. Yeah.
You're still doing Autodesk. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but we built that engine.
Gotcha.
I mean, we that's how we got the money to do Vermintide 1.
Oh.
We had a sister company called BitSquid that created that game engine, and we sort of co-developed it with them, and then we sold that engine to Autodesk, and then it became Stingray. So we are still using a version of that engine, but it's like I mean, Autodesk they canceled the engine after a couple of years. So we are. I think there are some other studios that are still using it, but the version that we have is like your own
thing.
Development of that engine, but we are still using like the same engine. Yeah.
Gotcha. What else we got, John?
Cool. So next question from Branocchio. If Xbox adds Game Pass to Sony's platform down the line, do you think Xbox will make Sony have their exclusives come to PC one day? And then he slides in a second question. It's a bit cheeky. But he said, do you think we'll get as many delays this year as we did in 2021?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
On the delays, for sure.
On the delays. Basically because nothing's changed, or we haven't had like a...
Dude, COVID has destroyed companies. They've destroyed... I mean, the people I've talked to at Microsoft that I know that are like, you know, extended family or friends of family... it's affected even big it's affected everybody, and it has slowed things down. And I can only assume that that's everywhere. For example, I did talk to somebody whose job, listen to this. This is a company, 37 people. Guess what? They had always worked from home. By COVID affecting other companies, delayed their games 6 months. Not them. They were requiring things from contractors, including art, all kinds of stuff. Because those people have to work from home, their efficiencies change. Now, at some point, people are going to get back on track for sure. But I mean, it's hard to get back on track when you don't know what's happening tomorrow. When like some companies are like, hey, come back to work. Whoops, guess not. And, you know, so yeah, sure, we'll get some delays. But I'm more interested in this Xbox. So he's thinking
right.
So Game Pass on PlayStation, they'd have to be ported anyway. I mean,
right, exactly. Like
so
that seems very unlikely, I would think.
What do you think, Victor?
Yeah,
okay.
No, it seems very unlikely.
Yeah. We've talked about Game Pass on Switch for streaming the cloud, because the cloud has made some improvements, but that'd be a third version of Xbox. We've already got 2 that have issues. The store on the PC barely ever works. Sorry, Microsoft, but whoever's making the Windows Store, really.
And well, they say they remade it right from the ground up.
No, they didn't. If the same mods, hacks, and everything people have used forever still work, then whatever they changed didn't change a lot of the fundamentals.
Remade it brick by brick in the
Isn't
same
that?
shitty way.
Wouldn't you agree, Reg? You know programming.
Absolutely.
Well, and Johnny knows programming. But I mean,
Absolutely. If they actually recreated anything in that code, they did so by copying everything about the old one.
All the quirks.
that's awesome. So we remade it by just copying it over.
Copy pasted
created a new repository.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to get your guys' idea, because you never quite know. But it's a good question. But yeah, Xbox on PlayStation, probably not. Next question.
Probably not. Astros says to Victor, does Fatshark have any plans currently to include NFTs or blockchain elements in current or future games? What did those discussions internally look like as a developer? What are your personal thoughts on NFTs in gaming?
Right now, no plans at all. We haven't really discussed it that much. I mean, we've discussed it like anybody else discusses it, like as a
seeing the world
thing that is going
changing.
on. Yeah, what is going on, but not as a thing that we would actually do. Personally, like super personally, I really don't like it. I think it, especially the whole sort of, I think it creates the completely wrong motivation for playing a game. Like a game should not be about making money, or like it's not a good thing. Like the game, it will just be a very bad sort of community type of thing that will happen, and it's not a good thing. If you're playing the game to make money or to be able to sell something in the game to somebody else, that's not going to be, you're not playing it for the right reasons, and that's not just, it's going to end up badly. Like motivation while making games is probably one of the most important things of game design. Like, what are we telling the players that they should be doing? And if you have even the slightest incentive to do something that is bad for the game, it's gonna go haywire very quickly. So like we have rules in Vermintides. This is a co-op game. We don't do any challenges or quests or anything like that that would make players in the same game have different incentives.
Gotcha.
Like you don't want to have a I need to kill 1,000 Skaven to, or like to finish this quest. So I'm just gonna stand here and wait while you guys I only need 200 more. Okay, I'm not even on that quest, so I don't care. So that's so we're very sort of, we really don't want to do stuff like that. So it hampers us from coming up with ideas. So it's not a it makes it harder for us, but we still don't want to do it. Like co-op is the most important thing for us. So
yeah. I appreciate that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What else we got, John?
Next question from Zaki. Yeah, John would be.
All right, that's your dad. If your dad was named John.
yeah.
I apologize.
Sorry, Dad. Zaki says, "What is your idea of interacting with the game world, and how developers can improve the interaction with their worlds and the impact it carries?"
I'm not sure exactly what he means, but I mean, that is probably the hardest thing to do.
Is it?
The interaction with the, yeah, definitely.
Go for it. I want to hear this.
Yeah, but you know, it snowballs. I like that Escape from Dead Island is a good example of where the sort of initial pitch or idea for that game was that we didn't come up with. It was a work for hire type of game, but it was like you were supposed to be able to, okay, so you come to a door and you don't have the key, so you pick up a rock and you use the rock to break the glass and all that stuff, like in reality, whatever you could do in reality. But you know, if you want to do that in a game, you have to actually create all of that. You have to have animations for all of that, and you have to have the code to handle all of that, and that just becomes impossible to do. So that type of stuff is the hardest thing to do, and it's hard to sort of, where do we draw the line? You can shoot lamps, but you can't shoot glass, or you can do what, like, how do we, so that's a really tricky one. But of course you want to have it as interactive as you can, but it is like somewhere you have to say, like, okay, everything that is wood is destructible, everything that is metal or stone is not destructible, and stuff like that. So it's a really difficult thing, and it's just a matter of, and the reason is just like resources. Like, it takes so much time to do. So yeah.
That's why two things piss me off every time I'm on Twitter. Well, many things, but two. The first is whenever anybody tells me this game had it, so this game should have it. And I'm like, dude, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If that's the way it would work, everybody would write bestsellers. No one would write anything that wasn't a bestseller, because you would just say, I need everything in this. It's not the way it works. That bothers me. And also, people who don't understand, and I've bitched about this, so I'm calling myself out, but sometimes you'll see something in a game that you want to interact with, and you can't. And then when you think about it later, you go, I'm actually glad I couldn't, because that would be so boring. Like, an animation for somebody doing something is cool once, but if it's a long one, like Red Dead 2, and you've got an animation that takes 45 seconds for him to skin, you get people going, okay, it was cool the first time.
Where's the skip? Yeah.
Right. Where's the skip? And you get all that kind of stuff. This is one of the reasons why I was asking Victor about what engine, because I'm messing around with Unreal and making levels for a D&D game so I can show people, hey, this is a location, blah, blah, blah. And one nice thing about the newer engines that I've loved is assigning materials, and, this material has these physical properties. But once you do that, like you said, like if I break a door, what if you want to use that door later for some thing and it's shut in a cutscene, or it's this or it's that, and now everybody's changing stuff? And I saw this Twitter thread from a developer that was stating, under no circumstances, doors were the hardest thing in game development.
I remember that.
Did you see that? And I was reading it just going like, holy shit. They were describing, it's the same way with Oblivion when they were saying, or not Oblivion, but Outer Worlds, when they were describing a bug they had where if you enter a talk when somebody's on a ladder, the game breaks. And they could not figure out what was going on. And they said ladders and doors are just ridiculously difficult to get correct. Doors even more so. But as a gamer, we see doors, guys, and we're just like, yeah, well, I just want to open the fucking door. And they're like, dude.
Yeah, it's a really good classic example of something that you just take for granted in a game, but it was so much work to getting it working. And it's a classic like trap to fall into as a game developer, is to put way too much effort into something that the player just walks by and goes like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you spent like 2 months making that building explode or something, and the player's like, yeah, okay, yeah, it exploded. Cool. Cool, that was cool. Go on.
It was cool one time.
Like,
yeah.
And we are, and the problem is also like, we know how much time it took to make, so we're like, look at the explosion, it's the coolest explosion ever, it's so cool. But like, if you play another game and you go by and like, oh, there's a waterfall, sure, go on, like. But like, we're like, we have waterfalls in the game. It's awesome. Look at the waterfalls.
Yeah.
Like,
look at our new water shader, and everybody's like, yeah, I'm not in the water, so it doesn't matter. I can't jump in a boat. It's
and doors are super hard to make. Like, definitely.
Yeah, dude. I was
bug prone as all hell.
That exactly, and I was reading that. I love reading the developer. Sometimes I don't like reading the ones where they're like, tell us all the bad stuff, because Twitter's already negative. But what I do like is when they shine a little light. Composers, one of the reasons why I have a lot of composers on is because people forget that, a lot of times music and sound is the last to get some money. And we had the guys who did Borderlands music. We had both of them. Awesome. Joshua's awesome. We had them on the podcast, and they were talking about how one little audio thing messed up. And one of their, this was crazy. They were having lag in their sound for the minigun, and their developers couldn't figure out how to get it all tied up. And it was having issues with what they were trying to do. And so one of their developers turned the wave into a MIDI and was like, oh, we'll just turn it into a MIDI. And it was the smallest little adjustment, but it allowed for them to make, and yet nobody's going to notice that. We would have noticed if the audio was screwed up, for sure. Yeah. We remember, like, every time you see lip syncing in a game that's not perfect, you're like, what? their lips aren't real. It's like, dude, it's a video game. Of course their lips aren't going to be perfect. But a developer may work months on that one small thing, you know. It's, yeah, I love it. What else do we got? Oh, go ahead.
Like a developer pretty much works months on everything. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, how many guys, if you don't mind me asking, Victor, what's the size of Fatshark now?
We are in total, I think today was 190 people.
190.
We used to be, like when we did Vermintide, we were like 60 maybe.
Yeah.
But the last year we've recruited a lot of people. But
Awesome.
on Darktide, we're about 100 maybe, 80 to 100 something. Yeah.
Very cool. What were you going to say, John?
Can I ask a quick question, because I'm super
Go.
curious about that. Like, you know, that's a big size company. Let's for most standards. So do you guys have a similar like hierarchy to any like IT company where, you know, you have like managers on like team leads for 7 people, and then it kind of spreads and you have
Yeah, we're starting to do that. Yeah, we have to. We didn't used to, like when we were smaller, we didn't have that. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I am now the head of design, is because we're trying. We as we grow, we need to have a little bit more hierarchical structure because it's starting to like become chaos. So yeah. So you need to become more hierarchical, but we are still a very flat organization when it comes to decision making and stuff like that. We are very everybody. We try to allow everybody to be really sort of in on whatever we do. So it's not but just for like problems that people have and stuff like the bigger the company becomes, more small issues become big things, and like you need to handle it and stuff like that. So it's so we are becoming more of this classical sort of managers with like 6 people or 7 people and stuff like that. Yeah,
Gotcha. What else do we got, Johnny? Go ahead, Silver.
I do have a quick just to return to the previous conversation, because what you described, Victor, is also why I'm very frustrated whenever I see the discussion around asset recycling framed as being lazy from a lot of people, right? That it's laziness reusing assets, where really it's just smart. When you've already made the animation, why would you go back and remake it from scratch when you can then take it back in and then use those resources that you made for that animation to make more stuff? Exactly. And improve upon it.
Yeah,
instead.
like you made a great jar, it breaks in an awesome way, right? Use the jar. Use the jar.
that should be written on a whiteboard somewhere. Just use the jar, dude.
Just use the jar.
Just use the jar.
The damn jar.
Dude, I lived through Far Cry Primal. People were so mad that they used just the height map from the Far Cry prior, and people were on fire. They were like, unacceptable. They should all be fired and sued. And I was like, what? And what's so weird is, if that was true, the word "the" would never be able to use again. Somebody used it.
I agree that it's I mean, it doesn't matter, but it's a weird reuse.
Admittedly,
it's a strange reuse, I think.
Yeah, and as a developer, you know more than me. I took it as for whatever reason they did it, and they changed everything else, which again, like you said, is even
different to me.
But like you said, it is maybe that is even more of a weird thing. But additionally, I think gamers, we get into the nitty gritty way too much sometimes. And as a reviewer, I'm always like, do I need to talk about the water droplets not looking perfect, or do I, how do I do this? And if the game touts itself as graphically super impressive, maybe I will be like, that's a little odd. But when you look at some of these kind of asset reuse, I think people saw these mods, or not mods, the ripoffs on Steam. That's where all this started. I don't know if you guys remember, but man, when they started, you get those people who are releasing games by stealing assets.
Just flipping them.
Yeah, flipping them. And then that became a thing. And then I remember Jim Sterling doing his video, and I think he changed his pronouns. So when that video was being created, that caused more people to look at it. But the thing is, man, like guns, we talked about this before. If you went out and you recorded amazing M16 audio, my personal opinion is, if I was telling you in my review, or gamers were telling you that audio is impressive, it's awesome, then by all means add new effects. If you have Tempest 3, on your PlayStation, and but you don't, unless there's some technical reason. I'm not a big fan of going out and spending money on re-recording that and changing that. And I was talking to Joshua about it from Take-Two, and he was saying they do re-record a lot, but he was saying on some of the stuff there's no it just doesn't. Their samples super high bit rate or whatever, and they're just like, why would we do that? We've already got this. And I don't know. It's sad to see sometimes because people get way too caught up in the trees, and we get odd responses. What else you got, Johnny?
Yeah, this question from Cruxy. How much more consolidation should we expect if even companies as big as Activision Blizzard can be bought?
Keep your pants on. If the rumor, keep your pants on.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, they rumored the huge acquisition like a year ago, and we talked about who could it be.
It wasn't Activision.
No, but we mentioned companies like Square, right?
Yeah.
As like potential for that. So yeah, as Karak says, keep your pants on.
Keep your yeah, it's gonna be a while. Yeah. I mean, dude, Embracer Group by itself, we don't even have to pretend there's some secret. Embracer Group by itself is consolidating. I mean, Embracer Group. Yeah. Victor, do you follow Embracer Group at all? Like, do you even know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, they're Swedish, so yeah.
Okay, that's what the reason why I was wondering is because a lot of people especially in the States, we know Embracer Group from a couple of the big titles, right? And Microsoft, people are talking about Activision and Microsoft because of Call of Duty. But it's like, guys, they now own Spyro. Microsoft owns Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. In what world did anybody think that was going to happen? And that's nuts, right? And there's some other stuff, and then you see like Embracer Group, who has all these IPs. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot, man. There's a lot of money to be made. I did that video, and I was saying I believe it was 120 billion currently, and it's supposed to be 321. I think analysts are saying 321 billion by 2029. Each year, which is just yeah, it's nuts. What else we got, John?
Next question from Spooner. Last week's discussion about hours played got me curious. What are your guys' top 3 games on Steam in terms of hours played, and how many hours?
Top 3 games. How do you check top anything on Steam? I never use Steam's
You go to your own profile there, you can see it.
Okay.
You can?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Victor's like me. I never look at this stuff. I know it just. Well, I'll tell you. Fallout 4 VR, I eclipsed 1,400 hours recently.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
As everybody's like, Jesus, dude, in VR, Fallout. Yeah.
that's like all of my Steam account
yeah,
right there.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, we're talking. Remember that time when I was so sick because I had done 14 hours of Fallout 4 VR? I came into the Discord and I felt. It was like somebody had beat me up, man. I was just so messed up. But I'm going to check here. I'm sure that's my number one. Is anybody... Silver, what's yours?
I'm checking now.
Okay. Reg, you have yours?
Okay, I got mine.
Go for
it. Skyrim with 136 hours. EVE Online with 124 hours. And Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous with 113 hours. That's the top 3.
EVE Online. Which one's...
The multiplayer spreadsheet.
I did not know you've ever.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't peg you for an EVE player.
I did not pay. I never would have guessed that. And you liked it. Obviously, you wouldn't have played anything that long.
Yeah, true that.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Where do you see it?
You go to your own profile and then click on games.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can tell you mine without looking.
Let's do it.
Dota 2.1 is about 5,000 hours, and then the next 2 are probably Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy 14 at around
Pause.
300.
What?
That took a
Sorry,
moment to
what?
register.
Did you say 5,000 hours?
Yeah. Keep in mind.
Holy shit!
Okay,
that's
hold
a
on,
lot.
hold on, right?
How many weeks?
This is since the game came out in like 2000 and...
Move on. That's still a lot.
I played it actively for like 10 years after it came out.
Ya?
Like since it came out. So it just adds up.
That's 125 solid weeks, work weeks, 8 hours a day, 125 weeks.
I had a problem, okay? Let's move on.
What do you got, Victor? Have you been able to find yours?
Yeah, sure. Caveat: I play mostly console games, and also I played probably by far the one that I played the most is World of Warcraft, probably. But my top is surprising actually. And it's not very high, but I have higher on other platforms. But Divinity Original Sin 2 is my highest, and I
Nice.
didn't think that. Dragon Age Origins is the second one, and then it's Elder Scrolls, Skyrim.
Woo, you just made a lot of fans in the
Yeah,
chat.
that's a pretty good list.
Those are
yeah.
a good list. That's a list where I bet you everybody's like,
top
oh.
is actually our own game creator
Right.
that we did, but
Well,
it's that was probably like dev, so
Yeah.
doesn't count.
Silver, do you have your? Are you even gonna look?
Yeah.
You got yours? What do you got?
No, I have them. Total War Warhammer 2 is number one at 818 hours. I think maybe 500 or 600 of those are actually played hours, with a bunch being AFK, just leaving the game on.
Okay.
Grand Theft Auto 5, much of that, this is for GTA Online with friends, is 551 hours.
So good with friends.
In second, and third is Warframe with 408 hours.
Nice.
So I have some
What's your
surprise.
least played?
Oh, dude, I have so many
Oh,
0.1s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Zero,
but that is not zero.
Yeah, 2 minutes
That's
or
not
something.
zero?
Yeah.
Trying to 0.1 hour. Yeah, that's fine.
Prominence Poker, which I love, is still at 8. That's low for me. Dude, Homefront: The Revolution, because I've been playing it again, I'm at 85 hours in that, and that's just on I've beat it 5 times on the console. So 5 times 8, 5 times 10, 50, 120 hours in that. It's almost sad to look at this.
Yeah.
Because I could have, man, there's a lot of hours in some games that are questionable as fuck. Like, I don't know what I was doing in some of these games, but damn. This is interesting. Yeah. See, that's the problem, guys. And achievement completion, I won't even click on. I fucking hate achievements. But,
yeah.
But Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, having beat that twice, I will say that the most important thing to me isn't how many hours, but how much I enjoyed. And I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy might be the best contained, like, enjoyment from start to finish in a game that I've had in a long time. Like, I pretty much only have good memories of that game.
I need to play that.
It
sounds
pretty good.
So surprisingly good. It was ridiculous. Silver, you're being asked. Silver, why isn't Deep Rock Galactic at your top? Shame. You just got shame. Shame. Pitchforks out.
Because it's not as old as the other games. Like,
True that,
would be the
right?
reason.
Yeah.
Johnny, any more questions?
Oh, by the way, out of interest, I've looked at the bottom of my list, like the least played game that's not 0, and that's The Blind Prophet at 6 minutes.
Wow. How bad could it be to boot you out in 6 minutes?
I
What
don't think it was
happened?
bad because I just looked at the screenshots of the store again, and it actually looks pretty decent. So
Wow.
I think it's
Maybe it
literally
didn't
just-
run?
I booted up. Maybe it didn't run, or I booted it up, and then I was like, okay, I'd rather eat. And then I closed it again and never opened it again.
Never opened it again. Wow.
Steph says...
Someone worked on that game for months, and you're like, forgot about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they got my money, so...
ACG, how many hours in Immortals Phoenix Rising? I only beat that twice, so I probably only like 30 or 40. That was a shorter one. This person says 1,641 hours in Vermintide 2.
Wow.
Savage
What did it
says.
say? 1,000?
1,641 hours. in
Damn,
Vermintide
son.
2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like 180 in that, and I felt like that was a long time for a
Yeah.
game, and then I started looking at Steam, and I got a lot that are, in the hundreds.
There's this streamer called Foo Plays that plays Vermintide all the time. He has like 7,500 hours or something.
Wow.
Jesus, that's and
And in Vermintide,
Dude.
when we did Vermintide 1, we actually had a Korean guy that broke the you were getting like level ups in the background, even though you weren't actually leveling up, and he broke the system, so he reached 999. Level up anymore. And we just hadn't thought of it, and he had put in like, it was insane. He'd put in like like pretty much he would have had to. This was like half a year after releasing the game. He must have played like everything, like apart from like a couple of hours every day, he would have had to play every day, all day.
That's
It's
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas says there are a ton of dudes I know who have almost 5,000 hours in Vermintide 2. Yeah, Vermintide 2, Dying Light 2, Vermintide, any of those games, if you like them, the Vermintides, the, not Outriders, you know what I mean, the good ones.
They can multiplayer. Social.
Yeah, well, and remember, I played a ton of Vermintide 2 by myself, you know, like, just messing around. So, I mean, it's not too hard to get a lot of hours in that game. And any game where it's got the random spawns and a good progression system, especially Vermintide 2, is easier, I think, to just continue playing and still feel challenged or, you know, surprised. What else do we got, Johnny? How many more questions we got? Jeez. I wanted to talk about food.
We actually, we have a number. We can parking lot a few.
Do we have any about reviews
like.
or anything about, like, the reviews that I can answer real quick? Because I got a query.
There's a question about something that happened on Twitter that's kind of recent, so maybe we can address that as the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So Snick Lunt says, Karak, you tweeted about the money made on console sales for a PS5. If Sony made $50 per sale versus releasing PS5 games on PC, and the money there. I remember you bringing up people pretending to be stupid if they don't want to discuss a topic.
Oh,
I'm sure you saw the 3 to 4 dumbasses. And he goes on to ask, how do you handle that stuff? Is it like an attitude of incredulity?
Incredulity? No, I go at it very aggressively. Because, dude, they were being stupid. What I stated was, and it wasn't 50, I was stating if a game sells for 50, the company, you know, some companies make $5 or $6 from that profit, you know, whatever. It just all depends. Digitally is different than physical. What I was stating was, if you look at Sony not being able to sell PS5s currently, right? They're currently restricted. That it may make sense for some of their premier games to be released day and date in multiple places. Because a sale, even Days Gone, which sold 5-8 million, who knows? The developer, you know, we don't know exactly how many they sold. If you do the math, a company on a console can only make $0 sometimes. Some consoles lost money. So depending on how much, and you can track, even at the max number of PS5 sold, the company could release 2 big games and make up the entire difference. And there were people like, I don't even understand the words in this tweet. And I go at them aggressively because stupidity is not to be celebrated. It is the weirdest. When I was a kid, being stupid was so embarrassing. You never wanted to be, like, I wouldn't go to my family when everybody was around and say something. You wouldn't want to, because everybody would be like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, that's why you don't go into, I wouldn't go to Victor's business and be like, well, in development. He'd be like, dude, you're not a developer. Shut the fuck up. You're not a developer. You have no clue. And these people piss me off because they make gamers look stupid. And I exist in 3 other entertainment. Airsoft is one of them. And cars are the other. And they laugh at us. Like, they laugh actively. And this is car fans, by the way. If anybody should be laughed at, it'd be a car fan. They laugh at gamers. They're like, these guys are either stupid or they're pretending to be stupid. And what I'm saying is the pretending. There are people who don't understand math. I get it. That's why I was trying to explain the math. But when people pretend to be stupid, it embarrasses me. Because it's like, if you know what you're talking about, then if somebody has they have a different opinion, your opinion's solid because this is what you have, numbers-wise or whatever. And if they prove you wrong, you can go, like science, oh, world's not flat. I was wrong. And you can move forward with knowledge. There are people out there that's solidly not what they want to do. And it's embarrassing. And I get actually physically embarrassed when I see a friend do something. Haven't you ever had a friend group where you got that one friend who shouldn't be around girls? He says something stupid all the time. You're like, dude, seriously, we're at a bar. You know, he's like, blah, blah, and you're like, man, just shut the fuck up, dude. It's embarrassing. Yeah. That's the way I get for gamers because I think that if you elevate it, I've made so many mistakes and had people be, remember Forza? I had the AI guy for Forza email me super nice, and we talked for a long time about what my thoughts were in the review, what he saw, what he did, what they were doing for the new one, and it was this awesome discussion of knowledge. And I am stunned anybody would not want to be a part of that. And honestly, I don't I don't want them as a fan or in my Twitter feed if they're not because I believe that kind of person will make it worse for everybody. They'll spread the lies or the inaccuracies of video games, which then makes video gaming worse. It makes people go after devs or publishers or YouTubers. You know, I've had people come after me for stuff that's not real. You're like, that's so anyway. Yeah, I do understand. I did see that. Thanks for thanks for watching the Twitter, whoever that was. I appreciate it, but embarrassing.
By the way, so real quick, because Name Band again said we missed the super chat and he dropped his question in the Discord. Can we hit that last real quick?
Yep, for sure.
So real quick, he says, for Victor, the fairest of them all, Orcs game in the pipeline? Yes, no?
What's he say?
Orcs game?
Oh.
This is almost
I think
like,
it's the Orcs Must Die, right?
Mutts?
Yeah, you can't. That's one of those ones where yes or no both give out.
Oh yeah,
more
can you like
information.
blink twice or something?
No, but it's funny because our lead combat designer Mats, who makes all the combat in both Vermintide 1 and 2 and now Darktide, he is like his standard joke, or actually what he wants to do is like, so orcs, are we gonna do orcs now? Like, so
Right.
yeah, I don't know. It might be in the future, but no plans as of now.
Okay.
I think
Sadly.
that
it would be awesome. Orcs are awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is like
Paint
you
it all
guys,
red.
like the thing with Vermintide and stuff like that is you guys have a really good, I don't know what you would call it, skeleton of like a thing that you can, and that you can move to other stuff, which we're seeing with Darktide, which is gonna be cool. But like there are other, I think I even asked Victor this either in a podcast or on a Twitter one time, where I was like, you know what I would like to see? I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I was trying to, you know, pick his brain for a yes or no that I could figure out meant something was happening. And, you know, orcs would be awesome. I mean, there's a bunch. I know what it was. It was Lizardmen. I think it was. I think this was about 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure I either asked him or tweeted it, but I was like, Lizardmen? ?
Lizardmen DLC?
Dude, instead of Skaven Lizard. Anyway. No. Just real quick. It would be so cool. Like going to the forest. Yeah. Anyway. You know what I mean. It would be awesome. Let's talk about food, because I want to judge harshly Victor for 1 second. Do you or do you not like eggnog?
I don't think I've actually had like the proper eggnog.
Darn.
Like it's such an American thing.
Gotcha.
We have something very close to it that we call egg toddy. That is like you just take egg and add sugar and you whip it until it becomes like a cream, and that is awesome. But I've never actually drunk proper eggnog, so I don't know. I can't answer it.
All right.
I want to. I would love to.
I got most of us to like eggnog, I think. Oh, Johnny, did you like? I can't remember.
I didn't try it this year. I couldn't source it in the end.
I think Reg is the only one who they have it year round,
Dude,
like at Reg's house
I
or
have a bottle
something.
right now, so yeah.
Is that
it's
crazy?
always-
Dude, if I did, I would be 600 pounds. Like, no lie, this
Dude,
year I was so ill.
Year round, like there's not a single day that not every supermarket has it in stock.
Wow.
It's Christmas. Wherever Reg lives, it's Christmas every day because it's so holiday bound here. But we were talking about, so Victor's a big cook. You still doing this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? This was a question that popped up. Is there anything that's like, because like the weirdest thing I've eaten is frog legs. We've talked about this before. I'm not a big sampler. I thought they were good.
Well, you guys got the smelly fish, don't you, in Sweden?
Yeah, surströmming. It's really good.
Surströmming.
I really like surströmming.
Disaster.
It's great.
You like it? So is that the stuff?
I really like it.
It's great for
smells
chemical
like
warfare.
shit, but it tastes really good.
Do you have to open it in water? Is that the one that you open in water? I saw somebody
You can
saying
do that, yes.
so that
you
it
can
doesn't
do that.
smell up
That's
the house.
sort of yeah, but you don't have to. But it's you should eat it outside. It's
That is amazing. Any food with a warning that's like should be eaten outside or underwater.
Far away from everyone else.
That's
Bring
nuts.
Someone you care about.
clothing to change into.
yeah, but the smell is really nasty. But the taste is actually with the right like things to it. You should have something we call tunnbröd, which is like a flat bread or like a really thin bread.
Right.
And then you have potatoes, and you have sour cream, and you have red onions on it, and then a fillet of surströmming. That is really good.
So
Like,
can you
really good.
describe, is it fishy or is it something so far beyond?
No,
Because
it's like super like umami, funky, yeah.
right.
But I mean the texture is, it doesn't really have, it's like a really mushy fish. It's been fermented for I don't know how long. Like,
Oh god.
but we did
Too
a
long.
cool, we did a fun
long.
prank. We
Yeah.
sent a giant bomb back in the day, like a really long time ago, a surströmming can, and they had it in the roof of their old sort of office building. And then when
Right.
they moved from that, it was back when it was Whiskey Media before
Yeah.
they joined the CNET. And so when they moved, they opened the thing and ate it, and it was like, it was a really long, good, prolonged PR trick to send out surströmming. Yeah.
Is there anything other? So that's sort of a go-to on weird. Is there anything that you
But the
like?
funny thing with surströmming, like you asked me, have I eaten anything really weird, and I can't think of anything. For me, surströmming is just like, that's pretty normal.
That's
Like,
pretty normal, right?
Yeah. But it's the same in Sweden. Like, it's not like everybody in Sweden likes surströmming, but my parents love it. So I've been eating it since I was small. Yeah.
My question was, do you think that was created on accident, where somebody left some fish out and then ate it and didn't die and was like, okay,
Definitely.
Didn't die.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
tradition.
but
guys.
it was just like a way of preserving fish.
oh, man, it's so
Yeah, because we had-
gnarly.
But
We had-
after a while, you even like the smell. Like after like.
Mm.
Oh.
This is my believing face, man. Yeah, and so you last we talked.
It's like working at a tannery. You just get used to
Yeah,
it.
oh no, those stink. We were talking the last developer podcast, and you were saying you do it. A lot of times you cook for like relaxation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you still able to? Basically do that kind of stuff as busy as you are?
I do
and
it
with two
every
kids?
day, basically. Yeah.
So you're the cook.
Yeah, I cook pretty much everything here at home, and I make sure to cook proper food like every day.
Nice.
So yeah.
No junk food. You're saying like proper, like nutritional
Yeah,
stuff
like
for your
everything
kids.
from scratch, like a real
Oh,
meal
gotcha.
cooked. Yeah.
What's your favorite?
So yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead,
yeah.
Johnny. No, feel free. I'll ask it later.
You go for the question. I was gonna ask if he likes Italian food because I'm a big fan of it. But
Yeah, definitely,
think-
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, pasta is like, it's one of the mainstays of the house. So
Right.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Is there any, when you are cooking, is there any like go-to that you like that's like pancakes or something that nobody would
Yeah,
expect?
no. We do American pancakes every Saturday,
Mhm.
but that's usually my wife actually. I don't like to go up early, so she goes up and does those breakfast. But I sort of, I get these hang-ups on different foods, and for the last 2 years, I've been completely ramen has been my thing. So I've been making ramen a lot. So and now I've gotten it finally, so I can like make everything from scratch.
wow.
So I can make a really good spicy miso now that is like proper like ramen chop style.
Mhm.
So that's but it's taken me a long time to learn to do every like
Every step.
I mean, yeah, every step. Yeah. So but now I can't eat like I have to make my own.
Like a
noodles now.
bagged ramen is
Yeah.
no longer
Yeah.
something you
No,
want
that-
to engage in.
no.
No.
But it's a good way to start when you're starting out. Just taking the sort of cheap ones and making your own broth and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and like making your own version is a really good way to start. But yeah. Now I did it last weekend, and yeah, I mean it takes me like 3 days to do it, pretty much. So
Oh, all the
But-
steps.
yeah, it's not like constant work, but it takes like 8 hours to do the broth. It takes like 4 hours to do the shasu, the pork, and it takes like 2 hours to make noodles and stuff like that. So
I'm the type of guy that if it says 200 degrees for this amount or 300 degrees, I just double it so I can get it done in half. It's. I mean, no wonder nobody. I don't cook for anybody, but I'm surprised everybody likes. At least that I know, everybody likes American pancakes. I think that's the
yeah, but
one
it's
food
awesome.
Yeah, that I'm such a pancake
They're a
fan.
little thick for me. I prefer.
They
the
are pretty
thinner,
thick.
French ones.
But if you put like peanut butter and butter on, well, by then it's not even a pancake. It's like a confectionery of some kind. But it's awesome. I love that. I'd love that kind of stuff. It's interesting whenever we get people on who talk about like their other, like the other things that they do. Most is cooking. I mean, I would say almost every composer we've had on, and I guess that makes sense for people constructing things like that long term. They have a patience that I don't have. They got to pay. You know, I'll tell you your game sucks after you've worked for 3 years on it, but you're the one who's making it. I make a steak in half the time. What about you?
Speaking
Reg?
of steak, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious if you've tried sous vide, Victor, for like steak and stuff like that. Do you use that?
Yeah, before ramen, my sort of hang up was sous vide. So I did a lot of sous videing.
Yes.
I don't use it as much anymore, actually. I sort of grew out of it, or it's a really fun technique, and it's awesome if you want to do, like, if you want to do a dinner and you have people coming over and you want to be sure that it's going to be perfect, but you don't have time to sort of stand and watch the food. Sous videing it, and then sort of just you know it's going to be good. Yeah,
you
so that's a great way of doing
it. It's perfectly cooked. Yeah, it's.
This is the thing with the hook in the water.
It's the boiling water and then vacuum seal.
It's not boiling
packs.
water, but it's
warm
it's a
water.
centrifuge, or it's a centrifuge that keeps the water moving at all times and also heats it, so you can keep it at an exact temperature.
Oh,
so you can keep it at like 54 degrees if you want your steak to be exactly medium rare. You can just put it on 54 degrees, put the steak in a vacuum sealed bag into it, and it will cook perfectly to 54 degrees. And then you take it out and you fry it really quickly, and you get like a perfect steak.
Name Band again says ACG likes pork rind nachos. That is correct. It sounds disgusting, but you should try it. German Swedish pancakes closer to crepes are far better and easier to add stuff to, Krelt says. German.
That's what we call pancakes in Sweden as well. Like it's the thin
and they're
ones.
thinner, right?
Yeah.
Just like your people.
Wait, that's a compliment.
It is for him, not for us.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
What else do we got? Any questions? Any topics we missed before we wrap this up? We're at 104. I want to make sure because remember, for us, he started at 7 p.m.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do we have any other questions on there, Johnny? Have anything to do with anything?
Let me see here. Nothing like terribly relevant to what we're discussing here with Victor. So we could always kind of go back. We only missed a couple, but they're sort of long to read. So maybe we can go back to those next time.
We'll get them next time.
Pin them for next time.
Anything else from you guys? Silver, Johnny, Reg? Reg had something about Google Android. I thought that was cool. Where Google's, what are they doing? They got an app, right?
Yeah, they are launching an app, basically their own Android emulator for PC. I guess after Microsoft partnered with Amazon instead for the Windows 11 built-in one that's, I think, in testing right now. I'm not sure. They're running a trial in Asia, in some Asian countries, for their own desktop version that will be rolling out into more countries across the year. And it's centered for Android gaming. So one feature bullet point they have on there is everything is synced into their Google Cloud.
Oh, gotcha.
So you can continue playing on PC and then go back to the mobile again.
I know people probably tease it or are going to tease it, but I actually do play. I used to play on emulator a couple games on Android games on my PC. So I'll actually try it out. There's a couple that I actually really like on Android that I wouldn't mind. I don't even know what my sign-in is. It uses the Google Play account.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Shouldn't be too hard.
I mean, currently I'm using just BlueStacks on Windows for Android emulation. That works pretty well.
Did I tell you what happened with my PC, the hypervisor thing?
Yes.
Because it's connected to BlueStacks, which has never been on this PC, but my PC thinks hypervisor's on, and it crashes all the time now. And I don't know if it's the NVIDIA driver that came out that was so shit or what, but
the latest one is pretty terrible.
Worst driver I've ever seen in the history of gaming. And it's so funny because Reg thought I was just unlucky. He was like, just might be, Karak's been unlucky before. It's just a Karak thing. And then he got it, and he's like, this is terrible. I've never seen a driver have that many problems before. I think when it comes down to it, they're just trying to add a lot of stuff, NVIDIA and AMD, which is nice. I mean, we're getting... I don't know if you guys are going to support it in Darktide or whatever, Victor, but, like, I've been super impressed with DLSS, super impressed with...
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? It's
First time we got DLSS working in I'm not in a game that I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can say, but it was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was the most. It was like reminded me of when I first got the first like 3D card.
Yes.
Back in the days when I was playing like Quake.
Yes.
And all of a sudden there was like, holy shit, the shield is round. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, hardware acceleration, right? That first, or I remember it used to be called on old AMD card. The first one I got, Savage 3D, was a video card, and it had transform and lighting. And I remember that TNL, that was their big thing. And they were like, and I was just all, are you kidding me? It's not even the same game. DLSS, when it first came out, I was like, oh, okay, I get what they're trying to do. And then they did maybe it was 1.5 or 2.0, and I was just like, it is free. And what's even crazier is they were showing videos where in some games, because of the way it takes the data, it looks better than the native 4K, and you're just like, what? Yeah. It's so great. I hope AMD has, after FSR, I hope they do their own thing, or DLSS, somehow they roll that out. It's awesome to see. I like tricks. I always have. Like, why hard, like, why
it's
put...
all tricks anyway.
Yeah,
Everything
well,
is
that is true. That is true, right? Did you, I don't know if you, it sounds like you do see a lot of the Twitter stuff, but I love, sometimes you'll hear a developer talk about, like, how they remove AI from a character somebody saw so that they can get those CPU cycles back, and different stuff that they do, and reading some of the tricks. And it is, yeah, you're right. It is all tricks, but some of the tricks that people have done. Spider-Man GDC was one of the best developer discussions ever. And I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how they got Spider-Man, which looks so good. Spider-Man is just, but he was talking about far off characters and what they do and how they fake that they're real. And you're just like, are you kidding? I mean, would never have figured out, these little tricks that they do and these little crazy additions and stuff. It's awesome. These guys know software more than me, but it's always cool to hear.
I actually had a quick question, if we have time for one quick last question for Victor, because I work in software engineering, like Karak mentioned, and we don't really see like crunch time, like in my sort of sector.
Yeah.
But obviously in the gaming industry, it's, we have had like bad cases of this stuff come out. For you, have you guys had like bad times where you had to, okay, we got to get this done, and, we only have so many hours in the day? Have there been bad cases?
Nothing really crazy. We, as a company, we don't believe in crunch. Actually, we think it's not gonna, and that comes from CEO level to like
awesome.
The founders of the company.
Yeah,
they have worked in other companies before founding Fatshark, so it's been with us since we started. That crunching doesn't lead to good quality games. So we don't do it, but of course, pretty much every release there is some form of crunch, like a couple of weeks but it's nothing like insane. It's just like we work a little bit longer than normal, and so yeah, of course people have definitely crunched, but nothing like half a year or several months or something completely insane like that. We actually have like you're actually not allowed to work more than, you can accumulate up to 40 hours, and then after that you're not allowed to work more.
Wow.
You have to take out some flex time. So yeah.
Gotcha.
That's how we do it.
Reg, do you guys have crunch where you are?
No, not at all.
And Reg is like, dude, I only worked 8 hours this week. What the fuck are you talking about? Did you guys hear the amazing story of the financial guy who was told to work from home and so he automated his job.
Wow.
And so every day he checks his email to verify everything's still running, but he's automated it, and he's like, they're happy, which is one thing I'm always okay with. Like the end result, they're very happy. In fact, they're very happy. They're like, the data comes in, but he automated everything. And he's just hanging out. He's like, dude, I just hang out. He's there, you know, in case an emergency happens, but he's got automated systems even for the emergency stuff. And Crunch is ridiculous because it used to be sold. Guys, I remember I got back in the day, PC Gamer Magazine, all these, they were covering things like Doom, and they were showing John Romero, and they were showing Carmack sleeping under desks. And it was the rebel mentality at the time, which made sense at the time because they were breaking into an industry that didn't really exist at that time.
They were creating an industry
They were
that
creating,
didn't exist.
right.
Much.
And that's why when I heard John Carmack on Joe Rogan, John Carmack was like, you know, he had a different idea of crunch. And I'm like, it's almost like your old great-grandfather who may have some weird thoughts that you don't ask during a family reunion. You probably don't ask him some things because you know his thoughts may be different. Maybe you lived through a war or two. And John's idea was different, and I get it because there was no industry, man. There was none.
That was what he came out of.
Yeah. I mean, and to him, it wasn't crunch. It was he had a passion to do something, and the only way to get it done, it was him. And it was. I mean, I don't want to say him. Sorry.
I mean, it's also a very big difference between
systemic,
like working yourself to the bone when it's you who decide that you do it. And like ordered crunch and like company mandated crunch, like we're gonna go crunching now, and it's like I don't want to do that. But if you're 5 people that have a company and it's your ass on the line and you want to put in insane amount of hours, it's up to you. And I have nothing against, like, people are allowed to work a lot if they want to, but the problem is when it's like ordered.
Systemic, organized overtime.
That's the problem.
Either ordered or like the incentives are such that it's basically coercive.
Named Band Again has a $20 super chat, and he says, Victor, do you prefer Oscars, Red Fox, or the Rolls Royce of Surströmming? I can't pronounce it. The fish thing. Do you know what those are? All whole with roe. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
To be honest, I don't know which ones I prefer. I think Oscars is the ones we usually have, and I'm not sure.
What are these different brands of the rotten fish thing?
Yeah.
There's rotten fish.
Yeah.
You mean there's an industry around it? I thought it was like one company that just poisoned people.
No.
But there was like actually a big catastrophe this year. There was no surströmming. Because there wasn't any herring. Yeah, it was a disaster because nobody made any surströmming this year.
Wow.
I have to admit, it's not like I eat surströmming all the
time.
I
know.
I've done it a few times, and I actually don't mind it. But it's not like I do it very often. Like it's every whatever years. Like
Name Band Again with the weird super chat as always. I always appreciate him. We're gonna wrap this up. I want to say thanks to Victor. As always, it's a pleasure, and he's got the patience of Job because I think I've contacted him like 15 times and said, hey, man, you want to do something? He's always like, yep. And I'm like, okay, bye. And I don't respond for like 6 months because of it was personal stuff this time, like with my dad getting hurt and stuff like that. Things just fell apart. But as everything gets together, you guys will see more devs. If you do want to see devs, if you want to see Victor return, he will, even if you don't. You can put it in the Twitter. You can put it in the comment here. We would love to get more devs coming on. It's something that we will definitely be doing to put some intelligence on this podcast that has continually talked out its ass for so long. When we got in trouble for
I have to come back when I can actually talk about Dark Tide.
We'll just plan that. That'll be up to you. So when you can feel free to contact me and we can talk about it. Because this is no lie. We talk about it when you're not here, so it's not blowing wind. But especially Vermintide 2 is easily one of my favorite games of all time. And so the idea that you guys are getting a chance to sort of spread your wings with the future Warhammer, like we as you can tell, we're Warhammer fans. I think we had 3 or 4 different topics about it, but it's really cool. And people MDMA, Victor is hot.
I also love the crossover you guys did with Creative Assembly for Total War Warhammer with with the heroes of Übersreich. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That type of stuff is really cool.
Yeah, it's always cool to see people work together versus like it used to. It feels like it used to be more, whatever the term would be, controversial or something. But now it seems to have gone away. Oh, I did want to get one last, just real quick. Sorry, we always say one last. E3, has gone digital this year, Victor, and then all these things with COVID and stuff. Has that impacted? Is it easier as a dev? Because I know a lot of people have vertical slices. You guys, there were 4 or 5 of you guys taking care of us at GDC when we did the demo. Yeah. Is it easier with no E3? Or is it a breath of fresh air for a smaller dev? Even though you guys are 190, you're still small compared to an Activision or something like that. Is it a breath of fresh air for you guys, or is it something you miss?
I mean, E3 has never been something we've really taken part of too much. We've done like PC Gamer Show and stuff like that lately, but it's always been like too big for us. Pretty much, we can't really make a dent in the gigantic monsters that are E3, like the PR campaigns of other games. So we've sort of shied away from E3, and like we opted in. With like Vermintide, we did GDC instead, like and had you over, because there we could have more of a presence and stuff like that. And I don't know, we haven't really released any proper games since like this whole thing happened. So I'm not sure how we're going to do it. But I mean, the streaming and stuff like that is so much better, and you're used to doing this type of thing now, and that's going to be so that's probably going to be like so much easier. Like the doing the PR days at one of these shows is like hard work.
Yeah,
you are completely like, you meet I don't know how many people during a day and just do demos and you say the same
thing
over
but you also
again.
have to be like interested in what they are saying, and have you get weird questions that come out from like, oh well, I don't know how to answer this and stuff like that. So it's an exhausting thing. It's super cool because you get to show your game and you get the response and stuff like that, but it's also like a lot of work, and it's a pretty exhausting. But yeah, I don't know how we're gonna do it actually this time around. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think as well, like it's I think Game Awards and stuff like that it's more accessible to more people, and that's cool. Like it's easier for more people to really see all of it, so it's nice in that way.
I mean,
I don't know.
I got to meet gentlemen like you. I got to meet I got to meet people from Microsoft and all that stuff, and I'll never forget it. And it's created friendships, but after like hearing so many people have such hard times with vertical slices, the cost of doing a vertical slice on some, I remember Cliff Basinski talking about a vertical slice for Gears, and I was like, are you kidding me? It was that much? And then E3 is even just a booth. They were talking about the money. GDC was great, but at the same time, I love I think it's awesome for people. You guys get to do podcasts, which is awesome, but also if there is a stream during a GDC or whatever, it just seems like it's easier on the devs to sort of, here's our thing, it's us talking, not worry, and you can look, if you do want to answer questions, you can do like what you did here. And personally, I mean, I know people hate it, but that it's gone away, but it felt like a beast. You even said it yourself, you guys couldn't make a dent in E3, for example. Well, guess who could make a dent? The same 7 jackasses who show up every year. Not to be rude to anybody, because I'll probably have some of those jackasses on, but you get my drift. It's like, oh, come on. These guys aren't here, but the same big company is. So it's cool. Make sure to tell me if you guys do decide to do something, how exactly you guys got it planned.
Sure.
Again, thank you to Victor. We're going to try to get Liam on. He left you guys. Where does he work now?
Raw Fury.
That's what it was. What am I thinking? I just talked to David about it a couple months ago. But I'll try to get them on. Again, Vermintide 2, check it out. Vermintide 1, check it out. Dark Tide coming soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thanks to these guys who always show up every Friday. Well, most of the time. Most people show up. Thanks to Silver for, no color. I thought he had switched to color. I guess I was wrong.
Not yet.
No,
not
light,
yet.
No color.
No light. Yeah, he is. I just realized no light. It's done well, to be honest. You look like you should
Dramatic.
be Casablanca. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Thank you for watching.
Just need some cigar smoke or something in the background.
Yeah.
All right, it's over.
Take care.